cannot give you back your homes or restore your dead to life. But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast that drinks and knows things. I am Luke, and we are here recording our episode entitled Do You Want to Fly a Dragon? And we are recording on April 15th, 2019. This is Season 8, Episode 1, Winterfell. Listen to the Drinks and Knows podcast on Radio Public. It's free, easy to use, and helps listeners like you find and support shows like ours. When you listen to our show on Radio Public's Android or iOS app, everyone benefits. I am here joined in studio with Glenn of House Dog.
What's up?
What you drinking? What are we drinking here in
Whatever
studio?
the fuck this is.
Whatever the hell this is.
Some kind of wine or something?
No, it's a beer.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
This is grape juice.
It says grape juice. Why don't
Oh,
you
well,
show
we'll
up
try
to
it
the,
anyway.
Show up to the camera. What? It's the Game of Thrones For the Throne.
You figure it out.
I mean, I bought it, so I know what it is. Also joining us is Ben Sly of House McLean. Welcome.
We're down Louisiana, down to New Orleans. Hey, what's up?
But we're in neither of those places. But what are you drinking?
I went back with the classic just because trying to not do too much Modelo Negro with some lime.
There you go. Feels good to be back in the saddle again, huh?
Right.
Speaking of saddles, Gertie of House Got a Century is here.
I like it. Hi.
Speaking of saddles,
Saddles.
what are you drinking?
I've had a day, so right now I am just on milk and Game of Thrones Oreo cookies. For
That
real.
was way more violent than I expected. I'm glad you pointed it that way. It was a rocket ship over here. So Abby's drinking milk of the poppy is what we're seeing, and we'll see how
yes,
long
I'm
she
gonna
lasts
need
with
some.
us.
Milkman.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed our new intro video. Parts of that were put together by our good buddy John Greenhands. Follow him on YouTube. The music in the main theme was put together by John Del Vento. A couple Johns helped us out with this one, and I did parts of it myself, stealing things from other YouTube videos. But we're just gonna move past that, and you can. This show and all of our shows at thepodcastthat.com are produced with the love and support of our wonderful Imaginary Legion patrons. Learn more about our reward tiers at patreon.com/stayimaginary. We don't have any friends of the show, but we are talking about Season 8, Episode 1. It was 54 minutes long. It aired yesterday, April 14th, 2019. Directed by David Nutter. First time we've seen him in a little while, but he's a often returning director. He's been on several. He's quite a nut. And was written by Dave Hill. Episode description. Abby, I'm going to come your way with that.
So this is Season 8 premiere. Arriving at Winterfell, Jon and Daenerys struggle to unite a divided North.
Well, in fairness, the North's not really divided. Anyway, moving on.
This is how you pour a beer.
That's what you get.
I heard you like head.
Hey.
This
What
is
does everybody want?
That's what I poured myself.
That's a really nice pour. That one's really terrible.
I'm going to chew through this. But anyway, let's go ahead
One
and
for two.
talk about a full new opening credit sequence. I think we can actually talk about this time.
Yeah.
So Ben, why don't you kick us off? What do we have here?
So we got Peter Dinklage as the lead actor again. The Broken Wall, Last Hearth, Winterfell, and King's Landing. Very limited where we go to, but my fucking lord, did they do it great. I was open slack-jawed watching this damn thing.
Yeah, what part stood out to you most?
Well, I'll say this about the entire episode. Actually, there's a different style, like filmography, like videography or something. It just cinematography, yeah.
Symbolism.
It just had a brighter feel almost, and even the opening credits it was cleaner. And it might just be because it's the first time I've ever really watched it on a HD TV and actually seeing what it's meant to, not through a computer screen or something.
It's been a couple years, so they forgot how they did it the last time.
So. But I mean, it just the coloration. I loved the graphics they put into it. Taking you deep into Winterfell, seeing the crypts, deep under King's Landing, seeing the Balerion Black Dread and the Scorpion and all that.
Lenny, what stood out to you most about this?
I think stood out to me the most is you get to go inside some of these places.
Mhm.
Like Winterfell and King's Landing, to name the only ones you get to go in.
To name both of them.
But yeah, like we haven't seen that before. It not to sound too repetition ish, but there's the old way was kind of the run of the mill way, and this is kind of the new way.
So you're saying they don't just have a mill anymore?
It's a new mill.
It's a new
It's a
mill.
brand new mill.
It's a new mill. It's a new day. Abby, what'd you think of this opening credits sequence?
I was super impressed by it. What I noticed first was as we go to like the broken wall and it goes past it, it's like the tiles, like they like flip
Mhm.
up, and
It's like playing Guess Who.
Yeah.
it is like I played that game today, by the
Yes,
way.
yeah.
I lost, but we or like it sounds like poker chips. It in the music you have these notes of like this plasticky or tiley poker chip falling sound. So I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't hear what you said, but I'll assume it was funny.
Wasn't that funny?
Oh, okay.
Continue.
So,
Continue.
Continue.
the weirwood, like the color grading on that is awesome because everything is so dark around it or monotone
Would
almost.
you say it pops?
That is what was in my actual note, not on Slack, on my one with pencil. It sure does pop. And going inside, like Glenn said, I feel like you get to see like the fortifications of these great houses. Whereas before it was just like this outside view. Oh, it looks big, or yeah, it's a nice looking building. But going through it, you get to see them like locking the doors and the big, like it's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned how I liked Ted. I also like going down, and the crypts were really really neat. So I'm glad that they did that. It was just really really well done overall. The theme music is as boss as always. So when it first like that first screen, basically what's up, not right here, but like the very opening, when you see the astrolabe, the front of it, I'm like, that is either it's coming in really shitty right now, or it's like way softened for some reason, and then the whole style of it is very very much graded differently, and it's a nice way to freshen it up.
It's kind of like reminds me of like South Park.
Yeah,
whenever like the old school episodes are just kind of like
they were the stop motion cardboard like paper
and,
cutouts.
Like nowadays it's more like
actual
3D
animated
and shit like that.
3D animation. Yeah, no, it's I think it's good when, I mean, this is what took him a year and a half, was redoing
exactly.
this.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think that's pretty safe.
100%.
100%.
They had to rebuild the astrolabe from scratch.
Did you guys, I don't know if you've caught a lot of the other chats, this is not my own original thought, but there are 3 new images of what's gone on the astrolabe.
I noticed it. I didn't have a chance to go back and look at them.
I knew it was something because I was like, wait, are those like soldiers down there? I was like, I haven't seen them like lined up next to each other. And then people who, I don't know, way smarter than I am went through and like found them all. But I thought that was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what they are now?
So I know it's like Danny and the dragons being born, and there's like the comment in it, and we have Bran's Raven. I believe somebody said that it was like White Walkers were the people who I thought were soldiers. So we have like a group of standing people, and then the Red Wedding.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to.
A lion with the fish in its mouth.
That makes sense.
And maybe Catelyn's head or something like on a pike, and I don't really know. But anyways, yeah, there's like 3 major scenes.
All right, yeah, I will certainly be going back to look at that. But I think it's really neat. I'm glad they made this update. Might as well, right? Last time that they're gonna have a chance to do it. So I wonder if it's gonna be any different like next time, or if this is gonna be what it is.
The run of the mill.
I mean, the last Hearth likely won't be there next episode, but it could.
The second to last Hearth will be there.
Yeah, the other 4 or 5 remaining Hearths might be there, up the line. So let's go ahead and move up to Winterfell. I guess down to Winterfell. Let's just go to Winterfell. I'm not gonna worry about direction. And this is a big scene here with Arya, Jon, Dany, Gendry, Sandor, Grey Worm, Missandei, Jorah, Tyrion, Varys, Sansa, and Bran. Benj, what happened?
Yeah, Arya watches as the Queen's procession arrives in Winterfell along with some old friends. Sansa welcomes them to her home.
Yeah, there's also this little kid, right? And
Yeah.
running around and kind of plays an Arya move from the very first episode. And they even talk about that in the about the show afterwards. And I'm like, I was gonna call that out.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, same here.
It's pretty blatant the way it's shot. Of like, and really, I was very much set that it was going to open at Last Hearth. I thought for sure we were
I
going
did
to,
too.
because they tend to start the seasons right where they last ended. So you end with walkers, you start with walkers, and
No cold open either.
no cold open either. I was disappointed
Yeah, I was
in
surprised. Yeah, I would have lost the over under on that one.
that. Right. Well, they finished all premieres with half and half, with choosing not to do it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
1, 3, 4, and 7 were cold opens. Those
Gotcha.
are the only ones. But
That makes sense.
Glennie, what was your big note here?
So yeah, like you said, history's kind of repeating itself as kind of is very parallel to the first episode, like the very when King Big Bobby B is coming down, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
You got that kid trying to get a better viewpoint, but the thing I guess that stood out most to me is Arya is just kind of another face in the crowd. Like she's not with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And she it's pretty cool because she sees kind of these familiar faces that she knows, like almost one right after the other. Sees John, then Sandor, and then Gendry, and it's like she wants to call hey, it's me, Gumby.
Hey, it's me, Gumby.
But at the end of the day, she's just kind of like, I'll just kind of let this thing run its course, and we'll catch up later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all that she's out in the opens as well, because that's kind of her thing, right? She likes to have the advantage of seeing but not being seen, so kind of blend Assassin's Creed. That's kind of her thing. Blend into the crowd and get the information without them realizing it. That's just kind of one of her strengths.
I also think she wants to have control over who gets to see her be emotional.
Right. Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
want my big in with my brother who I have missed so dearly and deeply, and I could cry. I might cry. So I'm gonna do this alone. I'm not doing this in front of my Bitterman because it's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Benj, what'd you think?
Yeah, as Glenn had mentioned, the parallels to the procession with Big Bobby B are astounding, especially even down to using the King's Road theme,
Mm-hmm.
same music progression. And shout out to John Del Vento. I never would have known the name of that, or
You
had it
don't.
had it in my head
John
until I talked to him. So
John Del Vento said it was the King's Arrival per Twitter.
okay, fine.
I'm
King's
just
Arrival.
kidding.
No, I'm
King
I'm just saying, like the theme itself. Like if I had heard it just here without having spoken with him, I'd been like, that sounds familiar, but it stuck out.
Yeah, I was
Prominently
surprised that they
because-
did that, because they set it up so hard as being Baratheon, and they even kind of stopped using it when the Lannisters were just king. So like, there's like a separation, in those
Yeah.
middle seasons of that theme not really being just associated to the king. But maybe that's because they were illegitimate. So I could see that being the case.
It's anybody's song now.
It's it's up for grabs. Who's gonna grab the score and run with it? But who was it
Exactly.
for? Was it for Danny, or was it for John, or was it for both?
For any
Yeah.
power seat.
Yeah,
Anybody.
exactly. And the other thing I have
Can have it.
is, again, as I said, the visuals are awesome. But then Bran has no chill. He's like no chill. Bran. Danny's trying to meet the new family. Like, hey, it's beautiful here, just like you. Blah blah blah. And Bran's like, we ain't got time for that shit. Dead are coming. Dead are fucking coming. He's got dragon. They're coming.
Ladies, stop your bickering.
Let's get down to
and your
business.
cattiness. Let's just get right to the thing that fucking matters.
Let's get
Pack
down
your
to
shit up.
business
Pack
to
your shit
defeat
up.
the Huns.
Take all your shit and put it in your backpack and take it with you, so it's with you. Thanks,
Ain't nobody
Morty.
got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Bran certainly doesn't.
And then he sits in the courtyard all fucking day.
Yeah, what else is he gonna do? It's fine.
There's no ramps in Winterfell.
So another thing, we have the arrival of the dragons, and they fly over all of the common folk, and they're all afraid, which is completely reasonable. Then they fly over the walls of Winterfell, and I know, like, during the trailer talk, I don't know who said it, but they were like, I think we're seeing a lot of stuff that's coming from like a later episode, like episode 3.
Oh.
Was that you, Benji, that said that?
No, my thing was the one trailer that we got the actual show. It's all my theory is it's all from before episode, including episode 3. Up to we don't see anything after episode 3. in
Okay,
the
I was gonna say
trailer.
because I feel like we saw almost
Oh, yeah.
everything already.
We saw a good
Like
portion
it
of.
really, like we were going through it. I was like, okay, well there was like 3 in a row right
Yeah.
here with the actual arrival.
Yeah,
And,
the only one that I had thought honestly was after, and we'll get to it, is the Cersei scene. I thought that one might have been after episode 3, but I was absolutely proven wrong on that. So I was like, okay.
I think that's a good thing because instead of just waiting for these things to happen, it's going to be new stuff that you're just going to have an open mind about instead of, I got to wait for this thing or whatever.
Yeah, I hate when trailers give away too much. And there was, I mean, I think that was part of the thing that people were complaining about with trailers is they're not really telling us anything, and there's a lot of speculation. But I don't think they should. It's just to get you excited about the show. But I like that they knocked a bunch of them out in this one episode. And again, the visuals. This is the first time we've seen Winterfell pulled out like this in this shot here too, which was really neat. A lot of times, if you think of like Hogwarts, you're just like in the castle. You don't really get like the full layout of like here's how everything actually
The
works,
grounds.
because once you start showing that, and then there's like inconsistencies of like, well, those places aren't anywhere near each other, you can get away with a lot more. But I think at this point in the show, they're like, we're gonna be burning this place here soon anyway, so let's just show it all off. Any other thoughts on the homecoming? Sansa's
All
pretty
of
cool.
mine.
Abby,
All of my thoughts.
Okay, go ahead then. What do you got there?
Okay, so the Unsullied are out of step. It's garbage. And then like the after show, they were like, we brought in military guys to teach these guys, and I was like, it was trash. Like, no, not good. They're the pan where you see like the guy or the little boy's like up in the tree and he kind of looks left, and it's like an overhead shot. They are really out of step. And then he looks right, and for about like 4 seconds they're in really good step, and then they go down to their shoulders, and a few seconds before like you actually see Danny and John, it's like so bad. Sorry. It wasn't that good. No, I mean, it was.
I believe you.
There and so when he like looks to the right line of that column was very good.
Nice job.
Everything
right
beyond the right line,
The right guys.
questionable at best.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to find something I could be nitpicky about, whatever. And then I also thought it was pretty funny, kind of rude actually. Like John, it's so cute. John cannot wait to get off that horse. Like, I got to get my hands on him and pinch his cheeks. Like, he's so excited.
Bran.
And it was with like, who's gonna blame him? But you just brought your lady and queen to your home and you just left her. Like, what is she supposed to do? Stand there? Don't leave me at a party of your
Yes.
friends.
Have you been at a family reunion where you're the outsider? Yeah, you just have to hang out for a minute while they can get their shit together, and then bring you in.
I guess so. I would be like, please don't just leave me standing over here awkwardly. I am a queen. Well, that's
Exactly.
what
I need to
say.
be introduced.
not kiss
I
your
need to be
brother.
introduced.
But-
So I'm going to stand back and wait for the proper introduction.
Yeah, like I really don't have I thought it was really cute. Like, he could not get off that horse fast enough.
Mhm.
It was really nice.
Gave him pinch his cheeks. I like how you said that. It's really much how it is. He's like, oh, you're a man grown. Almost. Like,
Almost.
Kinda.
I did want to give a shout out to that shot you have right there, Luke. The dragons have color.
Mm-hmm.
And we know we saw it in the trailer and
Good
everything,
job,
but it
Luke.
looked so, good. I just wanted to call that out because that was always my biggest gripe early on, or the last couple seasons with the dragons, is you couldn't tell them apart. You had no idea which one was which, and except for
Well,
maybe size wise.
Like Drogon, if he's close to the other two, because he was definitely bigger.
Yeah,
And
but
he usually has the person on his back.
exactly.
Dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway.
Glenn, you got anything else on this kind of quick first reunion? First reunion of the show was Bran and John.
I'll give a shout out real quick. The dragons do fly by, and like you see a lot of people just kind of screaming and shouting, But you see like Arya kind of smiling,
That
like, "Oh,
face.
that is pretty cool."
Mm-hmm.
And then Sansa's just kind of looking like unfazed almost.
Yeah, pretty cold. Like, I'm not gonna.
That
act
doesn't impress me
impressed.
much, you know.
Is that Shania Twain?
Yep.
Sansa Twain.
Sansa Twain.
That old man. He looks like Mark Twain. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next scene here at Winterfell, and we kind of go inside, and we have pretty much everybody plus Ned Stark and Lyanna and Bronze Jan
Ne-
Royce.
Ned
Stark.
Umber.
Did I
is
say
there?
Ned Stark?
Yeah, you
Right?
did.
You said Stark.
Ned
Yeah.
Umber.
And
I
Lyanna
apologize.
Stark, you said as well.
They were there in spirit. Benj, what
In
happened in
statue
this
form.
scene?
John addresses his bannermen. Lyanna calls him out on his shit. Tyrion explains their situation.
You know those times where you're like looking at the word and you're like, I know I'm gonna say the wrong one, and then you're like, no, I know what the right one is, and then you still go ahead and say the wrong one. That's what happened. I was like, I'm not gonna say Ned Stark because I know
We
it's the
just
number.
gave you a shout out for the dragon thing, and now you just
And
fucked
now
it all up.
Now I'm justifying it. Abby, I'm gonna start with you first here,
So we don't forget about you.
so I don't forget about you. You have to also unmute yourself to make it easier to.
All
not
right,
forget
thank you,
about
Abby.
Thank you very
Moving
much,
on.
and Glenn.
I'm sorry you missed it. You're lost. So I like here, maybe like, but when Sansa, she does kind of questions. May I ask? It's a lot of times how you say things or in the tone. You know, I have prepared Winterfell to withstand the winter for us. Now I have to feed Dothrakis and King's Landing people and the Unsullied. Like this was not prepared for. What do dragons even eat? To which Danny gives a great response. However, I think it's so different from even just season 7 Sansa, where I believe in season 7 early on she questions Jon in the Great Hall, but it
Mhm.
was almost like a
Stepping
I
on
felt like
toes on purpose,
yes,
kind of thing.
yes, well, exactly. Where here she was the way she approached it, she was completely within her right, and it was very well done. She also the whole like table talk. You didn't ask me. I know I'm the best. You didn't say anything. She said something. Like
Mhm.
I like this a lot, and even her and Danny's little like bickering. It's not even bickering, but just their little
Sizing each other.
side shade at each other is no longer on a level of like kid petty or like somebody controlling it. It's Cersei and Olenna. Like it's that type of maybe they don't hate each other that much, but both of them are playing the game. So I like it.
Yeah, and I mean they do need to kind of feel each other out a bit, and because yeah, it's here's the queen that Sansa didn't ask for. There's a lot of surprises going along with this, and this is Sansa's house, right? I mean, even Jon calls her Lady of Winterfell. He's not taking that away from her or anything. Not that he even has grounds to do so anymore. I mean, at this point, he has nothing to do with it. Benj, what do you got?
I was gonna make that same point about
sorry.
the
Go
Lady of
for it.
Winterfell. No, it's good. It's cool. But yeah, basically, she still has the title of Lady of Winterfell. He's giving her the respect of, as you said, not taking it away from her. I did want to mention because I had seen this in the with the first trailer or one of the teaser things where Sansa's like, "Winterfell is yours, Your Grace." I was so hoping she go and like, sorry, my dog's being weird. I was so hoping she would turn to Jon or turn to Danny. Goes, I was talking to Jon. Just be that smartass. But I like that. Yeah, she's grown, and as Abby said, she's not calling him out. She's not calling out anybody in front of the group. She waits till private to question and talk. But she gets her point across. She's learned. She's coachable, as we like to say. I will say I am leaning very, very heavily towards Felicia's standpoint of Lyanna is goddamn annoying. I'm sorry, yes, he's your king. You swore to him. Same time, he made his choice. So follow. If you are loyal to the person you chose to follow who he chooses to follow. I'm sorry. That's you know just because we made you king of the north. Yeah, thanks. I don't want it. I didn't ask to be. And so it's one of those. She bothered me in this scene.
It bothers me that she doesn't say hi to Jorah.
Yeah, but I don't think
Yeah.
she really knows who
But don't
is.
you think Jorah knows? Okay, maybe not that she doesn't. She doesn't, but like,
Yeah, Abby. But Liana's
hey,
shaming her.
yeah, no, I'm not. I
Age
kind of
shamer.
find her kind of fun, but I'm like
Yeah, I don't know if she
they're
would recognize him, and or she knows that he was exiled for bad reasons,
And he was probably exiled before she was born.
yeah. So even if she does know who he is, it wouldn't be on like great terms. It wouldn't be like, "Oh, hey, Uncle Jorah, like how
Oh,
are
I
you?"
know that, but I just
Hey,
think
I'm
like,
related to
hey,
you.
And
that's my niece.
Get the fuck away
I
from
should
me.
maybe get at least a glancing view across the courtyard of being like,
There should have been like 300 more of those, I think.
I know, right? You already had 5,000. You couldn't put one more in, like.
Glenn, what did you think of Liana's stance here? Do you have any thoughts on her standing up and
Um, like I get it. Like I think they have her being like the fan favorite to give her some of these scenes of because I'm sure like a lot of people kind of feel the same way, but I think just since everyone
fell in love with
fell
her?
in love with her that they're making her do these things. But like at the same time, I think John, it's just kind of similar to when he was in the Night's Watch. It's like, okay, none of this means anything. Like, why are we bickering about this? Like, we have to win. There's a lot of things that are gonna happen,
Mm-hmm.
and no one gives a shit about this stuff
Yeah.
that we're talking about.
He's certainly always been a reluctant leader, which in the long run makes him effective, I think, a lot of the time because he's not selfish. He doesn't really care about leading for leading's sake. He just wants to do a good job. And if that means that he has to be the one with people following behind him, that's fine. But he's also fine with laying that aside when there's a better option. And he certainly feels that he made the right choice. And it took him a little while to warm up to Dany in the first place, so I don't think he's surprised at all by any of these reactions. You know, they can't talk about that later on, but it's certainly not a surprise to John that this isn't going like just super smooth.
yeah. Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to call out, I was having a conversation with someone earlier, and I like that that Sansa brought up, and as Abby mentioned, how are we supposed to feed all these people? It's that political kind of style, that the realism of the realm. It's not just we have these this magical dragon come to kill us, and on the Night's King, blah blah. No, I don't know how to feed my people. This is, number one politic, being a ruler kind of thing. And I'm kind of glad that they are bringing back, because we did have a good amount of that early on in the series. We had a good amount of, the and it's very much from the novels of where it's very
Politics and logistics.
yes, and I like that, and I'm glad that even if it might just be a little nugget, it might not ever be mentioned again. At least we got a mention of it to say, hey, we
Here's to the
understand that.
nugget.
We're fucked.
Here's to the nugget.
Yeah,
I do like
exactly.
it's funny how Tyrion kind of speaks up and like says his piece or whatever. It's almost like one of those kind of group projects that here's the presentation and it's going just
All right, I'm gonna pass
a
the
train
clicker on over to you.
a train wreck, and then you got the the one guy that just tries to salvage the whole thing, and
Going
it's
for the
still
clothes.
yeah. Let's just hope to get a C.
And then he walks in with like probably the worst piece of information. It's one thing that Dany's there. It's one thing that John bent the knee and gave up the kingship and all these. But what Tyrion's doing
By
a
the
solid
way.
job until he's like, "Oh, and the Lannister army's gonna be here soon too." Probably should have just like held on to that one. Hold that card for like another day or two. Let the first couple ease
Yeah.
on out. It's I don't know.
I don't know. I guess you don't have to say it right away, but it's not a bad thing to say the truth.
I'm not saying hide.
And then they just show up and
In the climate of the conversation, that wasn't like the most apt time to like drop another nail into the coffin. But yeah, I agree. Honesty is the only policy. So, any other thoughts on God or this scene here? No. All right. So we will go ahead and move to the Gendry, Tyrion, Sansa, and Bronze Jan Royce scene. Benj, what happened?
Yeah, so Gendry unloads the dragon glass as Tyrion speaks with his quote-unquote former wife.
All right, Glennie, I'm going to start with you on this one. What do you think?
Yeah. So Gendry quickly becomes the blacksmith foreman.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's like skilled in the Smiths or the Blacks. That probably could be taken out of context, but anyways, like he's just kind of telling people what to do and stuff. And this is like his first day in Winterfell.
Mhm.
Maybe Winterfell doesn't have like somebody that's in charge, but you'd think, here, you report here, and then we'll, assign roles. It just seems like he came right in and, we need to save all this dragon glass, and we need to do this and that.
Yeah, it's very much the classic. We have a named character, so he's in charge. Like that's yeah, it's fine. We don't know too many other blacksmiths in the story at this point, so it's the only role that
Yeah.
it's a role that needs filling.
Or let's get all our Smiths together for the, the the Monday morning meeting, and then let's go to work after that.
Right. This is like the unloading.
Get on the same
scene, right?
page,
So, maybe he's just in charge of the, he's FedEx. He's just unloading. They're gonna figure it out when they get there. He was there for the mining.
The guy that's always unloading crates.
Benj, what'd you think of this scene here?
Yeah, first of all, with Gendry, I guess, yeah, he's a blacksmith, but I guess blacksmiths are stonemasons too, so that makes sense.
It's all metallurgical, right? Yeah.
Right. But anyway, I like the line between Tyrion and Sansa of Lady of Winterfell. That has a nice ring to it. Hand of the Queen. Oh, depending on which queen that is, I guess. And the quips back and forth between the two were both really good, really well done, and kind of what you expect, especially as much as Sansa now. Because Sansa never really talked to Tyrion. They maybe had like one or two nice scenes that we saw of them together, but they never really talked or were shown interacting because she was always shy and like just standoffish. And but now she's holding her own perfectly with him. And he's like first has a line of Joss Whedon had its moments. She's like, Joss Whedon had its moments, which is just that little chuckles like, yeah, there's some happy parts. But he's like, many people underestimated you and many of them are dead now. And I like that line from him to her because he sees, yeah, he called it out in season 2, you're gonna outlast us all. And he's been proven right, at least to this point.
Yeah, I also thought it was good that, when she was basically saying, sorry, I left you there or whatever, and he was like, yeah, that was pretty shitty. Like, that kind of sucked to try to explain why my wife just disappeared immediately. Thanks. I mean, I know we both survived now, but, like, that could have been a lot easier if timing was, like, any different, I guess, but let's move past that. So, I like that he was straightforward and like no like and not like, oh, it's fine, like it's like, no, that sucked, like that was really shitty for me.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked there. But
Yeah.
I mean, he understands it, but it's like that's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
But then also they talk about Cersei, and she's like, "So you trust Cersei to do this?" And he kind of shrugs, and she's like, "I thought you were the smartest man in Westeros at one point." Guess not. Just like just snarky, starky, and I like it.
Abby, would you think in the either the Gendry there or Sansa and Tyrion?
I like Tyrion's costume a whole lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot. I think it is incredibly handsome. I also really like Dany's coat earlier. So I think the clothing is
Was that
very,
the white
very
one that she's been wearing?
yeah, like the white one,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a little red underneath. Like it just looks great. And I think later on in the scene, it might be coming up here, where you get like a really good look of the texture of her coat is amazing. But the texture of his right here is really nice too. I don't know. You guys covered everything, so
Nice job,
good
us.
job.
Nice
No,
job,
you're
us.
yeah, that's great.
So let's move along to one of the probably biggest reunions of this episode, and it's Jon and Arya. Benj, what happened?
So finally, the reunion we've been waiting for. That's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean,
all she
there's been a lot of speculation. I mean, about how this interaction would go. Since Arya has grown and changed so much, Jon's about the same as he always has been, right? I mean, he's at least brotherly wise, he is just kind of family loving, and like I don't think there's any surprise on the way he acted here, but I think it is a bit surprising to some people that Arya opened up and actually showed emotion here as much as we've seen from her. I mean, in seasons now, other than just getting her ass kicked and being like, "What the fuck?" kind of emotion. But I thought it was really, really well done, Glenn.
Sure, yeah. I like Arya here. I think she's matured a lot. Instead of being force on the one side, she's not jumping to John's side. John sees it as she's taking Sansa's side, but I think she's really just kind of being a checks and balance type thing for John, instead of just being like, here, look at the other side of the coin, instead of just, yeah, you're exactly right, I'm agreeing with you, and then probably telling Sansa the same exact thing.
Right. And I think that means a lot to John too, right? Because, if Arya's the one being like, "No, I mean, Sansa's pretty smart. Like, she's probably making some good choices here. Like, don't undersell it just thinking that thinks she's so smart. Like, no, she's making good choices, and I'm with you both. Just make sure that we can figure this stuff out."
I don't want to pick a side here.
Right. Abby, what'd you think?
So I love that Glenn's comment says like she's matured, which she has. But my comment is like she's little again. At the beginning, you get a glimpse of that, like
she's coachable.
just
Little sister.
no, just little sister. Like happiness and
Mustard hair.
joy. Yes, happiness and joy. Like my big brother's home. I've missed him. Like this is like a good day. And she's excited to see him. And then, they talk and she's only used needle a few times or whatever, which I thought was funny. And
well, Palaver used it a couple times too.
yeah, true. That's right. But yeah, I did like that we got to see a little bit of that Arya that we haven't seen in a long time. Like just genuinely happy. We get to see it a couple times in this episode. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and Arya's always great in one-on-one conversations. I mean, that's pretty standard. And there was that really funny line of, you used to be taller, which is very much a little sibling thing. Like when you grow up to be as big as your siblings, you're like, wow, you're not so intimidating, you fuck. Like, Bedge, what do you think about that?
I was gonna say, I've had people grow up to me. I have not, anyway.
I've never had that problem. It's never happened to me before.
I think you're safe, Ab.
So I'd like where Glenn was talking about, and you guys were talking about with her defending the family, where she's like, because John kind of has this look like, shit, you were gonna be my ally, kind of against Sansa. And not saying he's plotting against Sansa, but like you were like my go-to of, okay, Arya's giving the side, we can tag team it and kind of work her down. And I was like, fuck, okay, new plan. But I like them showing off their weapons. And as Abby said, you used it once or twice. Have you used it once or twice? Same thing she said to Hot Pie. Have you making pies? Once or twice. That's kind of her catchphrase.
Yeah,
one of her catchphrases. I liked that. I'm glad she didn't show off the dagger. I think that was smart. I like that they kept it to needle and long claw. Going from there, it was very cute. It is missing the ruffling of hair, and I'm mad about that. It needed a hair ruffle, and just because it's the only thing, he'll
need a little muss.
My hair and call me little sister. What's that, Luke?
We needed a little muss or hair.
A little muss of the hair and a little sister. That's all I was looking for, but we didn't get it. It's like, son of a bitch. But it's fine. It was a great scene. It was fantastic. It was what I had hoped for.
They did have a little, I don't know, cock measuring with their weapons of like, hey, nice Valyrian steel. That's too big for me. Like, oh, but then she like didn't really show him the dagger, right? Could have, because he was more interested in needle, which makes sense.
Let's talk Valyrian weapons.
You want to talk weapons? I just thought it was interesting that it gets to the point of like this is something that they've always been able to
common interest.
Yeah, absolutely
like,
relate to. And
I think if like we met up, honestly, like family vacation, I haven't seen you guys in a while, and I'm like, hey, Matthew, I got a new baseball glove. You'd be like, oh, hey, let me see it. Oh yeah, like, oh, that's the old one. Here's the new. Like, it just those tools, because that's the commonality, the language you speak. I liked it.
Well, you're not going to show the catcher's mitt that you have.
Save that one.
Yeah.
Save that until
the batting glove. Those are where it's at. It's the batting glove.
You wouldn't believe these interchangeable rubber and metal cleats that I've got. Those were always shitty. They always fell off.
Yeah.
Get out the wrench.
But yeah, I mean, I think overall thumbs up on the reunion. I thought it was a really, really strong, a good interaction.
Were you waiting for that one?
I'm glad it happened this way, not like as the whole. This was fitting.
Yeah, I'm glad they got their one-on-one. It didn't seem out of place because John would have been, at the hard shot. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Kind of collecting his thoughts. There's a lot going on, and he needed a chance to think, and that's exactly the time that she would pick, because she is the one that chooses when she has these reunions, all of them, right? As far as we've seen. So
Yeah.
And I think she knows, like, oh, he's here, like, collecting his thoughts, but I'm always welcome. That says a lot. Like, that's not somebody you're worried about bothering. So I like that too.
all right. Any final thoughts on that? Then let's go ahead and we're gonna move from Winterfell for the first time and go down to King's Landing. We're going to talk about Cersei, Qyburn, Mountain, Euron, Harry, Strickland, and Yara. Benj, what happened?
So Cersei learns about the wall falling. Euron chats with his niece and introduces the queen to the leader of the Golden Company, who is elephantless. Euron demands his prize and is given his reward. So long breakdown. I didn't want to, this one felt like it didn't need a bunch of different sections.
Yeah, there's a bunch of little conversations that are just like setting things up of they were things that were mentioned before, so let's reference them again just to give you an update. But Benj, what was your first thought here?
Yara still has her tongue. Damn. And because again, speculations from the books, at least they do mention it, that he's on a ship of mutes. So he has muted his crew. And again, in the released chapters from Winds of Winter, the character that Yara is taking the place of did not lose their tongue either. So it makes sense, but I kept hearing over and over and over again, Yara's going to lose her tongue. Yara's going to lose her tongue. And it's like, she didn't. She still had it, and it's fine. I like her. I like her tongue. Apparently, many women do too. So.
I like her tongue. Yeah, no, I don't think she needed to lose her tongue at all, but I think she really should have been tortured. I really think that, and the whole rescue itself was pretty easy.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. Because
this is when they're actually just sitting there talking.
We'll get to that.
It's just that,
but,
that's just the
and maybe I'll talk about why more later. But I really think Yara should have been tortured for several reasons. One, for the comparison to the books, and more that we'll talk about later when she's talking to another character.
Exactly.
Glennie, what are you thinking in this series of scenes here?
So, for one, we have the Stricky seems a little displeased by the fact that Euron killed a couple of the golden compasses.
The golden compasses.
But I think Harry Strickland, he's just gonna kind of be cool for right now because they're being paid a ton of money. So like right now he has to just kind of play ball. So yeah, he's playing ball for right now.
Yeah, that whole interaction there was a little awkward, right? Because she was like,
we lost a few in transit. Okay, what does that mean?
What does that mean? I don't know, 3 or 4 that I probably killed. They probably deserved it. They were cheating. Maybe I was cheating.
Maybe it was me. I don't know.
Come on, get the fuck out of here. But I think Cersei's interaction, her side of that conversation with Harry Strickland she was very surprised at the lack of numbers. It sounded like the numbers were low. They didn't have elephants or Oliphants. If you're going Lord of the Rings, but
dude,
and no Timothy Oliphants either.
Probably one of the funniest things was you guys see like all the memes that came out, and there's like a lot of them that like Cersei is seeing like Dumbo fly, and she's like, okay, that's what I.
That's what I was looking for.
That's what I want.
Abby, what do you think here?
Hello, sailor.
Yeah, you like him?
Yeah, I mean,
you like semen?
Big fan.
No, never mind. Not going there. But,
not touching that one.
Not touching that one. Thank God for the Navy. Anyways, so I think Cersei kind of likes him.
Who, Harry Strickland?
Harry.
Yes.
She
Harry.
likes it, Harry.
I think she was impressed with him. Like, maybe not hit the numbers that he brought, but the tone in which she speaks to him, whether even if
The lack of elephants.
whether even with the lack of elephants, how she speaks to Euron, like it is a little
ahead.
more welcoming and inviting, whereas with Euron, it's very much this business arrangement. So
Yeah,
maybe something happened there. I don't know.
I think she
Yeah.
certainly appreciates his cold generalship. Like he is just all business, and I think
He also kind
maybe
of looks like his brother.
that's true. People thought it was him in the trailer at times.
I did.
You
I was
are
like,
part of people, Abby. So yes.
but you were like, I think it might be because I was like, why the hell is he on a Greyjoy ship? I cannot take it if he's going back. Anyways, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, Benj.
So yeah, we're getting into the Cersei Euron part. I love the line from Cersei. You want a whore, buy one. You want a queen, earn her. And fucking Euron looks at her like, I kind of just fucking did. So and like just calls her out on the shit because we see it's another book thing. She does this where she leads on a character over and over and over again to get him to do her bidding, and never really gets a payoff until finally does. She ends up does get a payoff kind of thing from it, but it's very similar to that kind of aspect in the book, and I like that where he calls her out and is like, no, I'm not taking no, and I'm not waiting. I've done literally everything. You owe me. Now I don't agree with that mentality of trading that for that, but
She shouldn't have done it though. I think
exactly,
she made a huge mistake here.
yeah, she thought it wouldn't happen or couldn't happen, and hey, you know what, he pulled it off. He's the
No,
most effective or a soldier in Westeros at the moment.
Abby, what are you thinking there?
so there's that classic saying of why buy the cow when the milk's free.
Mm-hmm.
She is playing that game of you're right. I'm stringing him along. I'm dangling the carrot in front of him. She just gave him the carrot.
She just fucking
And
tossed him the whole carrot.
like he has the carrot in his mouth. He chomped it up and swallowed it, and good. It's done. I ate the carrot. Minutes before this, he says to Yara, "I'm going to fuck the queen, and then I will leave.
Yeah.
I will sail somewhere else." Like this was, I think it's just going to be a bad move on her part.
I completely agree with you. I don't know if he's gonna write out leave, but she was playing him very effectively. I mean, she had him. Yeah, he was gonna be upset or whatever, and keep pissing and moaning like he has been since he's been
But our
in
deal
fucking King's Landing.
was
But he's
after
not
the
gonna
war.
walk away from the
No.
original deal until
Right.
that's fulfilled. And I don't know. He has nothing to lose at this point now. I mean, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, Captain Pacey Sparrow ain't giving up that easy.
Right.
So
I think like it just kind of was weird how he just was like begging the whole time, and then like after the fact, he's just kind of shitting on her. Like,
Yeah.
oh, how do I measure up? Like, I was probably better than
She,
the king
gives
or whatever, and then your brother.
yeah, she gives him, "You're not boring, and you're arrogant. I like that," and still says, "I want to be alone."
yeah,
I think
it's on the next section, but where it's all good to tie
Well,
it together. No, I'm saying,
sorry,
it's not really on the next section. That's all still here.
nope, next section.
he demands his prize
Okay.
and is given his reward. That would be part of.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's I'm with you. But
Yeah. It's all right. So the next section.
yeah,
really
go
quick,
ahead and roll into that where it's just
It's Bronn tries to have some fun and is presented with a request from the queen. Euron and Cersei discuss how he stacks up. Theon makes good on his promise to free his sister. She's heading home, and so is he. So it's pretty much everything from Bronn threesome down or foursome down to the release of Yara.
So Benj, I'm gonna start with you. What did you think of the Bronze side of things? I know you're just the biggest Braun fan on this show, so
How do you sleep with no eyelids? That's a great question. That one stuck out to me. It was an interesting scene. I kind of wish they would have just sucked up their pride and had Cersei be the one to ask him. Just do it. Suck up the pride on the actors. Just give it to us once where they're in the same room, on the same shot, interacting.
they've been in the same frame together multiple times.
Yes, they've been in the same frame. You're right.
Even
but
just where it's like 3 people and they walk past each other, but no conversations.
Yeah, I would like to see one conversation. I'm just saying. Yeah, it made sense to me of the request because they all know Braun is a sellsword. He will go to the highest bidder, and he's pissed off at Jamie because yeah, Jamie fucked him out of a castle, fucked him out of a wife, and now he's just like, well, shit, what the hell? So I don't know if I see him actually going through with it, but he'll take that wagon of gold for the troubles at least.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. When he's sitting there and they're just those three whores are just chatting about God knows what. He's just like, shut the fuck up. Like I'm literally gonna pay you guys
can't-
a lot. Like
can't take
this
this.
is how you do business. Like no, that's not how you get repeat customers. Like what the fuck? Just shut the fuck
This plan is terrible.
up. I'm here for pillow talk.
You know, a foursome sounded a lot
Show me
better
the
before.
box.
I wanted a silent foursome.
Yeah.
You know, that poor girl should die of the pox within a year. Which one?
Which one was it? Abby, what's your takeaway on the Braun or Qyburn scene there?
I mean, I don't know. It's whatever to me. But it's just like more sex. I don't know. I'm not like against the sex. That's fine. But
With
like
this limited amount of time.
yeah, we have such a limited amount of time, and so I'm gonna see some naked butt rocking up and down on him, or Yara just gets her hands untied around a shitty ass pole, and that's her rescue. Come on, whatevs.
One more. There you go.
Yeah. So the next part of it is we're talking with unless Glenn, did you have anything on
I have something.
you? Okay, sorry.
I
Go ahead.
do, and I just wanted to confirm that there were 3 butts seen
There
in
are,
this
and
scene.
right now I have the exact
And I got a
don't want
message.
more butts for the series. For
I
the
got
season.
I got a message earlier from Da saying that it just blew his butts score out of the water. It was like having
Yeah, with no
blown
butts.
butts is a dangerous concept. So
That's for all season, right?
it's for
Yep.
all
Yeah.
season.
Okay, good.
I went 3 butts thinking there's not gonna be time for the sex position.
Oh, they're gonna make it happen.
We'll have
You
a
know,
foursome.
So yeah, for some kind of I'm right on it. So
And it's not
like
always
hopefully
just sex butts. It doesn't have to be associated with
Dra-
sex
dragon
for
butt.
butts to count.
But
It could just be like, oh, naked soldiers after a fight.
No, very
saying.
very true.
Saying
In the showers.
in the showers.
Snapping some
Right,
towels.
nice work out there today. Yeah, and I don't know. Braun is the only one that can do this job, I guess, because he's the only other named character that has a chance to go up and infiltrate well enough, I guess.
no, I think it's more the like she's so kind of fucked up sometimes. Like this is evil. This is villainy. And she's like, you know what? You fucked me over. I'm gonna hire your buddy, even though he was your stealth sword, to kill you.
Mhm.
Like that. It's just crazy.
It's a certain poetic justice in her mind.
Right.
Right.
And,
You know,
and then on top of it, I don't think he's going to head up to Winterfell. I think she said if they survive the Night's King, the undead, and they come down this way, you know, you do it. So I think he's sticking around.
Oh, I think he's going to Winterfell. He's gonna find a higher bidder.
That's not a bad thought either.
Whatever they pay you, I will pay you more.
I will double it.
Yep.
Lenny?
see, I think it's one of those things like, yeah, he was a sellsword, but he did build friendships with both of the brothers. So I think at this point, like, he was just given this crossbow and he's just kind of like, man, I don't even know what I'm going to do.
Right.
Like, it's your classic catch-22 because, like, on one hand, you're going to piss Cersei off. On the other hand, but she's giving you probably a bunch of money, castles, the whole nine. But if you go through with it, you're gonna kill, your friends and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think
it's
Go ahead. Sorry.
it's one of those things where he's given the crossbow and he's just like, oh, okay, like. But at this point, like, I don't think he really knows what he's gonna do. Like, it's just gonna be like a spur of the moment thing, and eventually,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, we've seen him struggle back and forth on making those kinds of choices, and it seems like he's consistently gone more towards the honorable choices lately over time. So I I think he's gonna have a big decision whenever that happens, and I think I know which way I'm predicting he'll go. But
But now, one quick other thing on this, we get a little bit more insight on the Kyburn because he kind of expounds upon his. He's like, the way they took away my chain for doing my research and all this, and I was meaningless, was like, it had nothing, and Cersei made me hand to the queen. So you see kind of his insight. We don't get a lot from Kyburn throughout the years,
mm-hmm,
so it's nice for him to get some back, kind of, I don't know, some exposition for himself.
mm-hmm. And I wonder what the tell was that that girl's gonna die from the pox here soon. Like, what was it about her? Something on her
Crotch
butt that he
crickets?
saw?
Maybe I don't know. Red pox all over bikini area.
Maybe, I don't know. So there was another part of this scene, right? And
Yeah, it's the next three scenes really. It's this is now we're into Euron and Cersei, right after their sexy time fun facts.
yeah, so this was, Cersei is
Double-sided dildo.
so she's clearly sitting here sipping some wine. We have
Yeah.
part of the talk that we already talked about where Euron's just kind of being an arrogant douche, and she very much likes that, and I think that's why she's folded on dangling that carrot, like Abby was saying, is because she actually does like him and can only hold her stone face for so long because now she doesn't have Jamie, she doesn't have Lancel around, and it's been kind of a weakness for her to always constantly need this release, I guess. And I think this is where politically I don't think it's gonna be surprising when it backfires on her. Bunny?
Well, at the same time, like, I think she knows that she has the mountain. That, if it kind of backfires or something, that he is going to step up and, because it kind of seems like he's kind of stepped forward each time that Euron just kind of like, blah blah blah, and then like, well, I'm still the mountain and I'm here. So if you want to, there might be a time where, he pisses Cersei off so bad that he's just gonna throw the mountain at him, and then best of luck.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely fair. I just worry that it's gonna be more of like Euron disappears. You can't, and then the mountain's worthless for something like that. Like
What do you mean?
it's more of a political thing that's
If
gonna.
he disappears, why?
Well, because then she doesn't have the ships anymore. Like she loses all of that power, as opposed to, oh, he does something dumb and the mountain just kills him. I don't think it's gonna be something like that. I think it's gonna be more like she's screwed for whatever plans she has coming up. We'll see.
Fair enough.
More on that whenever we talk about speculations another time. But Benj, what do you got here?
My only note is she's drinking. She
Right.
turned down the wine from Tyrion last episode, and that's how he kind of deduced that she was pregnant. And I know we talked about the whole differences of knowing and all this for time frames, but it's kind of a tell to us as a viewer that hey, I didn't know she wasn't chugging the wine. It was just a small little sip.
Have you ever watched Mad Men?
Oh yeah,
That is not a tell to me that you're not pregnant.
I understand.
This show seems to have used that.
That could have been grape juice.
And that's what I'm saying is the show used that as a plot device of why she was pregnant, how Tyrion figured it out, kind of thing. And so that's just where I'm going with it.
She covered her stomach.
But he
It was
first noticed
both,
it
Ab.
when he
I think it
offered
was
her a
both.
wine glass and she turned it down, and no one said just
Yeah,
turn
I
down wine.
guess so. Whatever.
It's one of those small little things, so it makes us as a viewer or myself think,
Subconsciously.
okay, is she actually pregnant, or was that just bullshit? And so it's kind of I don't know where I fall on it right now because again, the signs that they've used that they're establishing in their world of this is what they follow. It makes me think that yeah, it was just kind of bullshit to get Jamie and Tyrion on her side. She played the role right to maybe make them think, hey, we have something to live for now as a family.
Abby, what do you think?
I don't even know. I mean, like about if she's pregnant or not.
Or just, I guess start
Ooh,
with that. But
sorry, I have to come back to this. Phantom D saying it's a great comment. Go ahead, Abby. Listening.
Okay. I think that she probably was pregnant, but possibly miscarried the baby or is still pregnant and is gonna like raise it being Euron's,
That was my
and
very first thought.
it like it's either one of those, so that like kind of tears afterwards is either like disappointment or fear that Euron's gonna be raising her kid and she didn't really want that, but that's her only option now, or like don't touch me. I just like kind of lost a baby, and don't sit here and say we're just gonna put another one inside me. I don't know where it's coming from. It's very
Mhm.
vague.
I
Yeah.
think there you could definitely say that, you know, she's because even he makes the comment of I'm going to put a prince in your belly, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah, of course.
like fine, whatever. But even if she is pregnant, which I from the start I've not been convinced that she was.
Yeah.
I thought it was a plot thing for her, a narrative thing that she's pulling. But like with this, I almost like second guess that. I feel like this gives more evidence that she was.
Hmm.
And yes, there's the drinking wine that almost seems like, well, now that Jamie's gone, she doesn't give a shit kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like regardless of how it turns out, like if she is pregnant, she's given up on the kid and or is okay with it being detrimental pregnancy due to drinking again because she's gonna raise it as fucking Eurons. And she's like, he's fucking crazy. If the kid grows up, you know, messed up because I drank during the pregnancy, then you know that's what he'll have to deal with. I don't know. That's just I don't know. It's weird that like the fact that she did that in this situation makes me think differently about her even being pregnant in the first place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
she probably believes in the prophecy like so much so where she's just gonna make it come true. Whereas like, oh, I'm pregnant, but I'm gonna sabotage this because it's gonna turn out bad. So I don't even
Right.
want to deal with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just quick shout out to fandom. He said miscarriage. She's tearing up after he mentions I'm going to put a baby in your belly, you know. And so kind of what you guys were along exactly what you were saying about it. It could have been a miscarriage, and that's very possible. I agree with you, Luke. I don't think it's ever like I always thought it was just a plot kind of device she was using, but with the signs, it's possible.
It's possible, he says, and it is.
Where is Mythbusters when we need them?
Man, they're sitting there on the next couple episodes, ready to just watch it along with everybody else. I think.
Perfect.
But we do have the actual rescue here as well for Theon and Yara, and I don't know, some solid kills of some funny men, right? You know, some comedians were used to be killed, which was funny.
Pop my eye out. David said they could put it back. Can they put it back? If you haven't seen the behind the scenes thing, it's really good.
And they also killed the writer, which was interesting. The guy that gets the axe to the head was Dave Hill.
yeah, I think he said something like, you know, it was kind of like my idea, and then
Two
like,
lines on the paper.
and then all of a sudden, like, oh, like I got to play the part, and I got to go through 4 hours of this makeup, and you know,
I think it's hilarious. Like you make this writing choice. Guess what? You're gonna be the one
Oh.
that fucking suffers through whatever it
that's
actually
a
entails.
great idea.
You're right, Glenn.
Good
That
luck.
is a great idea. Guess who's doing it? You are. But I think we kind of mentioned earlier. I felt like the rescue was a little easy. Like I was hoping for more. I think, especially for this hero path that Theon set himself on at the end of season 7 to go and rescue her. It was just like, oh, he showed up, and then just like it was not a big deal.
Took a couple people out, assassin style.
I don't know. And why don't you take the boat at that point? If he just killed like all 6 people on the ship, take it. Take the ship.
Takes silence, yeah.
Right. I don't know. Abby, what'd you think of the rescue?
It was very anticlimactic. Like, I know we have to move fast, but it like they literally like I don't know whacked a few guys and then cut her out. Like, and that was it. You know, like I didn't need an hour or 2 hours of getting to there. I just wanted to kind of see Theon struggle. Like there was like some type of fear where Reek had a very good chance of coming back. Like the odds were stacked against him and he persevered through it. Just like one little element in a fight. And no, it kind of didn't happen for me. I do like as they're like leaving, um, I think it's the first time that Theon is given like real respect. That Yara validates his wants and says like those are good and I respect you and I support you in your decision. I may be queen and I may be doing this, but if that's what you want, that's a good enough reason for you to go. Even though we didn't get this big Yara being tortured, I do think that she would come out of that having a different respect for Theon. Like it would make them understand each other more.
Are you just
I
reading off
do
the notes that I sent you?
no. I'm reading these booms. But I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
But that's okay. Like
Yara would
on
have a better understanding of where Theon
on
came
the
from.
ship for the very limited time we see this rescue in their interaction, I think those two actors give like a great performance of making me feel like Yara has a new level of respect for Theon. They get each other, they're equals. So in a short 30-second conversation, they do that for me. That's impressive.
Lenny?
So yeah, like once Theon does the big risk, like immediately the first thing Yara does is just like, will she headbutt him or something like that?
Mhm.
It was just kind of like
She thwomped him.
she thwomped him. Yeah, exactly. That's what she did.
I deserve that.
Anyways, like it was like almost like one of those like, well, why didn't why whenever Euron kind of challenged you, why didn't you fucking do anything? And you just kind of cowered it out, But at the same time, it's like he kind of knew that you can't win.
That was a no-win situation.
Right. He got out of Dodge. She kind of suffered for a little while, but he kind of
not as bad as she should have.
Not as bad as she should. She still has a tongue. Be thankful for that.
She's tonguey.
But like I think he kind of went on this redemption thing and righted the wrong.
Yeah, and I think he did a good job. Yeah, it's questionable on how did he get there? Did he show up on fucking dinghy and just like get around everybody? I don't think it's surprising that most of these soldiers and sailors are maybe in the city. I mean, we've all seen Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, as soon as you hit land, guess what? Everyone's getting off the fucking boat because we've been here for too long. So we're gonna go to the
We're
brothel.
seasick.
We're not gonna fuck our buddies for once. We're gonna go fuck a whore. So
enough with this circle jerk. Let's go.
I'm not surprised that it was
that.
Kind of like the midnight crew and like kind of a reduced number. Like that doesn't surprise me too much. It was again a little easy. I was surprised this happened in episode 1, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, I really do think Yara should have been tortured, and that is mainly due to kind of like Abby was bringing up of it would have given her more respect for Theon and what he went through. I'm not saying that I want her dick to be chopped off or anything, but I think she could have leveled with him, which I do think also, like Abby brought up, they are at that point now. Like she gives him a certain level of respect that was not there before. I guess I'm happy for that overall. So that's all good. Benj?
Yeah, so I agree with you. I did not see this coming in episode 1. I thought there would be a build to it. I thought there would be more of a battle. That's why I had Theon as one of my generals in the fantasy, because I was thinking, okay, he's gonna come in, get the save, and get a good amount of kills, and he got one. Or he got a couple. He got like 2, I think they gave him credit.
It was like 3 or 4 easily.
He got
Did you get credit for?
He got a good amount of points. I'm not taking that away. He did end up getting a good amount of points.
Not as many as Glenn got.
Yeah, exactly.
We can talk about the standings a little
bit. We'll get to that here soon.
I'm just kidding.
But this scene was the reason why I picked him, because I thought, and honestly, me and Bridgefor kind of had the same mentality of Theon during the rescue might do something stupid and accidentally kill Yara with his bow and arrow. I'm glad they brought back the archery, because Theon did call that out back in season 2 or season 1 of the Greyjoys, known for lovemaking and archery. We never saw him with a fucking bow again after he saves Bran,
Mm-hmm.
So we never see the archery skills, and this we get the archery skills. It was I liked that. He's like, yeah, I deserve that headbutt, and I want to give a shout out to Alvion. He's looking buff as fuck. When they were on the boat, he's looking buff.
He's got big balls.
It's the hair.
Well, and I was gonna say, and his hair's on point. He's got good big poofy hair.
Oh boy, he looks like Ron fucking Weasley.
Actually, yeah, movie 4.
He looks
Ron
buff as
Weasley.
fuck. A buff Ron.
Yeah,
That
you're
looks like
right.
Ron Weasley.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Actually,
Ron Weasley mixed with David Willie. That's the
Like everyone knows.
everyone
who
knows David Willie.
Willie is.
yeah. So, but it's one of I just want to give him a shout out because he did look like he actually put on a little bit of weight and like from where we saw him as Reek, he's packed on some muscle and actually improved himself. And I'm thinking of that as the character Theon doing that, and it's a nice touch.
Speaking of nice touches, let's go ahead and take a Jojen rowboat up to Winterfell, where we're going to talk about Bronze, Jan Royce, Alice Karstark, Tyrion, Davos, Varys, Jon, and Dany. Benj, what happened?
We're in there. The Karstarks are welcomed. The three advisors discuss loyalty and age. Danny and John check on the dragons and go on a magic carpet ride. And I had my note before I saw the goddamn after credit there, or after the episode thing,
Yeah,
where Amelia calls it out. I'm like, damn, no, I had my.
I mean that's exactly what it is. So
It's exactly
it's not too surprising that multiple people thought that for sure. Abby, I'm going to go to you first. What part stands out to you most in this set of scenes?
Definitely Danny saying like your sister doesn't like me, and John's like, he's downplaying it. Oh, it makes you feel better. She didn't like me either, and she's like, well, if she can't respect me, so are you gonna make him choose between his sister and you? Like, I just feel like there is this huge tension that we are building. It's just gonna build and build, but like, what are you gonna do to his sister, Danny? Like, what are you gonna do to her? I don't know. I just don't think that's the right move on her part. I also was kind of annoyed with like the dragons aren't eating because they don't like the north. Is that in like the Dragon Baby book? That's why they don't eat? I don't know.
It's probably more likely because they lost their brother.
Well,
That's
that's
what
what
I
I
was thinking.
figured.
Sure.
But she is
Too
the
cold
mother
to
of
eat.
dragons. Like, shouldn't I don't know. Whatever. And so to fix this solution, right?
Dragon formula.
We have to go put them on the leash and take them for a walk. That'll pump up their spirits. Like, so now we're
Gotta
gonna
get the
go on this.
metabolism going, Em.
Gosh, I don't know. Again, like I watched it the first time through, like so totally pumped, and then I come in and sit down and scrutinize, and I'm like, I gotta stop doing that. I'm only watching them once from now on.
Yeah, I think from like season 7 and 8, from what we've seen, just watch it and enjoy
Like,
it.
that's what I. My notes are from like my 4th time watching it. I'm not kidding. So I'm like, uh, the ride is awesome, right? Like the visual and that big dive he makes down is super cool looking.
Did your stomach drop with it?
No.
Did you tell that they were like trying to do that kind of
Right.
thing?
Yes.
And this is
That-
how Jon Snow got a lot of points.
Yeah, that
Because
was
he
a good
got
one.
the dragon.
He
The
got a
loot-
dragon for what,
The
2,000
dragon
points or
loot
something.
is what they call it. Yeah.
He picked up the dragon loot.
That's what they called it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
No big
overall,
deal.
No big deal.
Oh,
that
I
won't
have
last
one
long.
other note. Are you ready?
It won't last.
Sorry. Does anybody else think that John sounds like Sam Tarley? He's like, well, I don't know how to ride a dragon, and then he like starts up and he's like, whoa! Like he just sounds
Wee.
like the first yell is like Sam's like, "Ew, ew," his like scared, don't hit me thing. He sounds so much like Sam. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at how hesitant he was. I mean, this is Jon fucking Snow. Like, let your pair show,
Yeah, well, here's the thing too, and Danny wasn't exactly helpful during this time period, right?
They were
She's just kind of
flirting.
You
No.
just ride it.
okay, but listen, if this was reversed, and this is John, and Danny's never been on a dragon, you should think that shit flies him talking to her like that? Nope. That's a whole lot of nope.
But also think about it this way, Danny's like, I'm not the only one to ever ride dragon. I took a whole fucking crew south, but John wasn't with him. So you can understand his hesitation, and she's just giving him shit. She's busting his balls just like the mechanical dragon did to get Harrington.
Yeah, but if it was John busting her balls about being slightly nervous to do this, we'd be sitting here saying,
No, I
what
think
a fucking douchebag.
I don't think so. I
No.
disagree.
I-
It
I
would have been.
don't.
It was. I took it as playful. I took it as
I took
flirting.
it as being kind of a bitch, but that's okay.
Well, you know what? I think you're kind of a bitch
I am.
because I know you.
Easy, Gus.
I am definitely, and that's
Like I
fine.
said, kinda.
I
Glennie,
can be.
Glennie, what do you think? Yeah, thanks, Luke. So I like, the Karstarks arrive, and I think, Tyrion says
a prick.
the Karstarks, one of the better sigils. Beats an onion, anyways. Just kind of like a playful kind of shot at Davos. Like, not that it's like shit talk. It's just kind of like busting his balls, if you will. But anyways, I kind of like the recognition of other sigils. Like, even that one scene from, was it season 4 with Pod and they're waiting for Oberyn to get there,
and you have like House Dolt show up.
You have all these houses from Dorne, and like
Kingsgrave.
He's just like naming off all these like sigils and stuff like that, and like I think because like you always see like the main sigils, and, like not a lot. There's not a lot of opportunity
secondary
on screen where you get all these secondary characters. Oh, this is House Jones, and they got the
there's the old Rabbit of Jones.
the Rabbit O Jones.
There's the Dire Rabbit of Jones.
Right. So
Dire Wabbit.
No, it was kind of cool, and like really like the Karstarks sigil isn't like all that exciting, and maybe Tyrion was just kind of like, oh, one of the better sigils, like kind of, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, but I think it was just kind of just meant to kind of bust Davos's balls for a second.
Yeah, so kind of there were a couple jabs at Davos from Tyrion, as you guys both kind of mentioned, with the not as old as him and the sigil thing, and it's just kind of like, what's Tyrion playing at? Like, why is he ripping on Davos so much? Like, give him a break. He's a great guy.
True, but they were also both commanders of armies against each
They're
other.
way past that. They had that one recognition that it happened.
Yes, and this is why it's fun just to bring it up, like, kind of, and look, and Tyrion calls it out early on with Varys during their position, which we didn't even touch on. Varys is like, you get offended at the dwarf jokes, but you'll make fun of me being a eunuch all day long because I have balls. And that's just Tyrion. They're trying to play up that Tyrion smartass character again.
It's
Now
been
that
a while, and I think that's maybe why it's like, is he being a dick again? Like, it just seems more like being a dick now.
Yeah.
To me.
He's like one of them. He's gone a long time without being a dick, and he's just like,
you know what?
These guys would get it. We can, they can make fun of me for being a dwarf.
It can be cool.
We can have the, the dynamic. We're playing off of each other.
We just got such good chemistry. Thanks, Michelle Clapton.
For for most of a season, then around Dany, can't be joking around Dany. Missandei and Grey Worm can't make fucking jokes. So he's got Varys, and now he's got Davos.
He's like, oh man, this is the opportunity for have a good friendships.
I've been storing up all these jokes and how I could start
giving each other
using
shit.
Right.
But yeah, then we have the Magic Dragon Ride, and then they go and play Kissy Face. I don't know.
Yeah.
Abby?
Let me go with this one first. Just because John riding Rhaegal, I mean, it's fitting. We knew it would happen. It's been foretold, but it's nice to actually finally see it. He's riding the dragon named after his father, and it's very fitting.
Not
and
Ned.
I liked that. And then also I liked Drogon creeping on Mom and her new beau. Like, hi, Mom. What you doing? Hey, Mom.
Okay, stop.
Mommy.
Stop it.
Mommy. Mama.
I will mute you both.
What?
Abby, what'd you think here?
I do think that Drogon stole the entire scene. He was the very best part with one single huff. He was better than like any other human interaction. I don't think the kiss is believable at all.
But they did kiss though.
I believe they kissed, but I believe that it was like, oh my god, I'm married to the hottest girl in the entire world, and this really sucks. She's gonna be pissed. Like, I feel so bad. It's just I don't know. It's It's not a Ygritte kiss, okay? That's all I gotta say about that.
Dawson's
But
Creek kind of
good
kiss.
try.
Yeah, cheesy as fuck. Keep your queen warm.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Oh,
off.
make me die. I also think it's very interesting that. Let me see if anybody has this in here. I don't see it, so I'm taking it. She says we could stay here 1,000 years, which is very reminiscent of Ye Grits. I don't
Nice.
ever want to leave this cave. That's I don't know, like foreshadow. I don't know.
Good as
Maybe
ever
you
left the
should
cave.
stay.
I do kind of like how John's like, we'd be really old. Would you? You're kind of already dead.
Right, like
She might be really old. We don't know what happens to you.
that's true. Good point. Very good point.
I'm glad
my
you actually. I'm glad you brought up the cave because right when we saw this last night, I was sitting there with Glenn. I was like, "Oh, are they gonna go in a fucking cave?" Like I was like, "Here comes a cave,
Here
another
comes a-
cave
a
scene."
cave.
So
but yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
but no, I thought it was very like I think that line is put in there for a reason. Like we could have stayed. They could have stayed in that cave and been fine, but they're like John Egret pulled by otherworldly forces and their honor and their desire to better this world. And instead of staying safe and boring, they can't do it. So yeah, I think Danny dies. Oh well. So my last thing about it is John.
Wow.
Oh well.
Oh wow.
It's
Tough
fine.
shit.
But my
I mean,
last thought
she's
about
such
it
a
is
bitch. So
we already have like this kind of unsettling, um, not really happy with John in the north, right? We have all these people in Betterman up north who have come here to support you, and then you like took off your king hat. So you're gonna jump on an animal that's dangerous. You've never been trained on it, and risk your life for a joyride. Not good tactics.
True, and I do
Not
like
good tactics.
it's,
Like
but it's also his manhood's kind of being challenged by Danny too. Of
who
she's
gives
just
a fuck? I don't give a fuck about his manhood.
I know
Like
you, and I'm not saying I agree with his mentality. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I
then
absolutely
he
agree with you
then
on it.
he's a bitch because he let her bait him. If that's the argument and you're gonna do something to protect your manhood, then you're a bitch.
But I do like her line of, what if he doesn't want me writing him?
Yeah.
She's like, well, it's been nice knowing you, Jon Snow.
that
You know,
that was hilarious.
yeah, it's good. It was a well delivered line, and it got a snort, a puff of air out of my nose for it got a
Yes.
sound. But this scene, yeah, this scene could have been done without. They needed it because they wanted to show off the dragons. They spent all the goddamn money on the CGI.
The
Fucking
dragons look so good though.
dragons looked amazing. The flight was, apart from the first person view or like the over the shoulder views, those were a little sketchy at times. They're way better than they've been in the past.
Well, I
Uh,
don't think so.
they looked way better than they've been, but they still weren't fantastic.
No.
Uh,
Drogon's face though.
oh yeah, Drogon, oh, yeah,
Oh.
the dragon bodies themselves and all that. I'm talking about like showing Danny and John like
Yeah,
on the dragons. It just takes you out of it. If you could just put that scene in and just let the dragons fly through the north, that's all you need, and
I
I accept it. But leading on a magic carpet ride kind of thing, it's like, it's I have an issue with the
I
Glenn.
think Drogon's been going to the gym.
He has been officially bigger every season, like both of them actually, but officially bigger. So, Glenn, any thoughts? Any further thoughts or
I
final
don't
thoughts?
like. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about this scene or whatever. Like, yeah, it was cool that they're flying the dragons and through like the peaks and the valleys and stuff like that. Like, that was pretty neat. But then it just kind of like it kind of turned into like a boyfriend girlfriend kind of love making scene or whatever, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and if we're not even gonna get the love making, it's like, what the fuck's
Yeah,
going on?
just a little smooch.
Yeah, give us one more butt. Come on,
we need a butt.
need the butt. All right, I'm gonna move on. While Luke's off dealing with what he's dealing with. So our next scene, it's back in Winterfell. We have Gendry, Sandor, Arya, Sansa, and Jon. Gendry is forging dragon glass weapons and gives the Hound an axe. Arya reconnects with both of them and requests a spear, and Jon and Sansa discuss reasoning for his choices. Glenn, I'll start with you on this.
Yeah, so obviously Gendry is the Forge and Fire champion. and the winner of $10,000. Have you guys ever seen the show Forged in Fire?
Only time I saw it was at your house, and like it hooked me, but I never got back into it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
one of those like you don't need to watch every
Yeah.
single episode, but if it's like one of those
On
if it's
After
on
American Pickers, yeah, I watch it.
yeah, if it's on like you have no problem just like watching it or whatever. So but that's just kind of what I think. He's still kind of like the the boss or foreman or whatever, and he's like making all these cool different weapons and stuff like that, like makes an axe and making these daggers or making I think arrowheads.
Yeah,
Yep.
bunch of arrowheads.
So yeah, that was pretty neat.
I think they're for the brass knuckles.
What about
that
the
I
brass
need.
monkeys?
No, yeah,
I
no,
had the same actual thought, Luke.
yeah, no, my brass knuckles.
You're
Dragon
still looking
glass.
for your dragon brass
Yeah,
knuckles?
Abby,
yeah.
what's your thoughts on the scenes in the Forge, and then also John and Sansa? And we'll kind of move.
So we're all okay.
Everything.
I don't know. I So all right, sorry. We went all the way through all of Gendry's stuff. The interaction between Arya and the Hound, it's not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
I It's
Yeah.
not and it's not bad. Like after it happened, I was kind of like, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But it is not at all how I imagined it. So that was cool. Um and then her and Gendry, I don't know. I love them together. And as you wish, my lady. Like they're funny. He challenges her. He's not a lord, so she'll never have to be a lady. Like it just works, and I'm happy that there's a little bit of flirtation going on without being like, "Ooh, we're the first uh episode, so we're just gonna like make out and declare our love for each other." I don't care if they ever actually get married in the show. Just let's work towards that being a possibility.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd kind of had a working feeling for a long time with the books in early season. Like, yeah, it's gonna be houses come together, Baratheons and Starks, gonna be Sansa or Arya and Gendry, and then I started wanting to be the tinfoil asshole of like, no, it's gonna be Gendry and Sansa. And it's like, yeah, no, they're trying to at least play that up. I don't know if it actually ever will happen, like you said, and I'm okay if it doesn't. But I like that there's that flirtation. There's that.
I don't think I'll be okay if it doesn't.
Okay.
Rioting in the streets.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
is not right.
that's not Sansa, or that's not Arya. So I don't know.
I That's what I if she never gets married, that's fine, but like could that be her like
Guy on the
Dolly Part well, Dolly Parton I don't believe is married, but she has her man.
yeah,
So yeah,
She's like working 9 to 5.
Bedford.
Working 9 to 5.
But Luke, what's your thoughts on the Hound and Arya?
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, Luke. I mean, I've always been a huge Arya and Hound Sandor group fan, and I really like this interaction. I think it's exactly where they would be because, and again, they similar to I watched the behind the scenes or whatever thing, and Maisie Williams said kind of the thing that I was thinking of too. Of like their first step in any conversation with anyone that they actually like is like defense. Like they always have their guard up, and like I was kind of expecting the guard to come down quicker between these two, but it makes a
Same.
lot of sense still that they have this chippy relationship, right? And it definitely felt natural. I mean, but I was just thinking maybe that they would have moved past that and been like, "Hey, we're just cool
More
now."
tough love.
Yeah,
I
but
had the same thought. My note was I thought it would be sweeter. I'm happy that it wasn't, because I like this interaction because yeah, the chippiness and everything. But then that makes you also realize how much her interaction with John, because you're right. Every time she reconnects with somebody, it's very standoffish. Her and Sansa, it was standoffish. They did hug and everything,
Huh?
she was worried about Jolene.
but so she was, but with John, there was no standoffishness. There was, hey, and it was like the playful right from the get, and so that kind of brings that scene back to being a little bit more meaningful,
even more touching, if you will.
Yeah,
And
you know,
the
so
Hound basically, he throws out there, "You left me to die," and she just cold cut combo is like, "I robbed you first," like you don't forget that I robbed you too. Like it's
but that's what he taught her,
yeah.
and I don't really know that was shown in the show, like honestly, because I can't
Oh,
remember.
yeah, no,
Yeah, she robbed that guy. And, oh, they'll be dead by the winter, and then come to find out they were dead by the winter. No.
yeah,
Yeah,
because she got all pissed off at that. She was
yeah,
mad that I mean, that's exactly what she learned from him, and even he's
And
like, "Wow, you really are a cold-hearted bitch,"
Yeah.
and that's likely why you've survived. Like,
Yeah, you didn't kill me. What the WTF? Like, what was that all about?
yeah, whoa, easy, easy, Gus.
Easy, Gus.
So, all right. So the next part of this section is the John and Sansa, the private talk, where they talk about the Glovers and Danny and all that. I'll go with my note really quick first. So the Glovers just fucked off. They're like, "Nah, we're good," Fuck that. And I like how John was like, "Well, they pledge, I'll stand behind the Stark," and he's like, "No, he said he would stand behind the king, whose name is Snow. You're not a king, they're gonna fuck off. So Sansa's calling him out on all the kind of stuff. But as we talked about a lot last season, is she waited until the semi-proper time to do it, when they're in private, can actually have that deep conversation between each other. And I like that again, Sansa's kind of learning from she's not been wrong at all in any of this in this entire episode, but you have to pick your timing a little better, and she's done it spectacularly this episode.
So, like, real quickly with the Glovers. So, where are they from exactly?
It is Torrin Square,
Torrance Square,
But not
Deepwood Mott. Yes, yep, I get those two.
Deepwood
confused.
Mott
Yes.
Square of Torn.
Jason Mott.
I just, it's just it seems like the direction this is gonna go. Maybe it's just maybe a speculation at this point. But they're like, "Oh no, we're good. Like we're gonna go home," and it seems like they're gonna fall victim to the Night King.
they're not far from. I mean, they're
Well, no,
yeah,
that's Deepwood Mott is further south.
they're are they? I knew they're. Actually, I was thinking they were west, but I'm probably wrong. So never mind.
Well, maybe the Night King is circling around Winterfell, and who knows, takes him out. But it just seems like, oh no, we're good. Like we're gonna, save ourselves, and fuck you guys. So,
No, Deepwood Mott is up by it's just south of Bear Island. It's on the other side. It's west though. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
so if they go
they'd have to
due west,
They have to go due west until they basically hit the Walda and then
The
follow
Walda.
follow the coast south.
okay, it depends what cards they get played in Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, I mean it depends. If they're collecting purples, or if they have a bunch of wild cards. It's it's a great game. If you've never played Ticket to Ride, get your
We
head out
should
of your
make
ass.
a Westeros version.
We should. Don't. No, that's copyrighted. That's ours. Don't.
You
steal
guys
it.
didn't- you
You
didn't
guys
hear
didn't
that.
hear
You
that.
didn't
You guys Ticket to Westeros. Yeah, but like the Glovers piss off, and Sansa I think makes some good points here for sure. But the thing that stands out to me most is John's response of, "Do you have any faith in me at all? You chose, along with everyone else, to have me be king. I never wanted it, but obviously somewhere along the line you trusted my judgment enough to back me up." And she's like, I do. And he's like, well, at that point he should have said, do I know that you trust me at all? Like, you've only second guessed me all the time. I get it, they're reasonable thoughts, but you can't just come at me all the time like this. There needs to be some kind of middle ground, and not just. And I'm a huge Sansa fan, but I do feel like she comes across as attacking very consistently, and I don't think it's really that healthy for their relationship. But I do think at the end of this, they find themselves in a bit of a resolve. I think they come to a place where she understands where he's coming from a bit more, and I think she also kind of trusts his choice in Dany, other than, yeah, is it just because she's a fucking babe, or is it because you're in love with her, or all these things? But at least they're having that conversation, which seems more productive than just, what the hell, man? Abby, what do you think?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I just walked away. So all I heard was
just
Sansa comes in
Jon and
hot, and
Sansa.
I agree with that. Like, she's questioning, and again, we see what Jon has done. So I'm always in like defense when somebody's like attacking a character that I know that their intention was good and
Mhm.
loyal and just. And I'm like, can you just not listen to him? And then I think about, but what if you're the like sister waiting at home, and all of a sudden, like, this is their home, you don't know the motives, and you do understand that, I don't want my brother to be played, because then it fucks my entire house. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
Ben, you got anything else on that?
No, I mean, like you said, I agree that her calling him out was needed, and yeah, but now thinking about it, she's doing that a lot. But I think she picked her time better this way, and I do love John's response, and he had an answer for everything she had come at him with, at least. So I give them both respect on the way they're handling it. It's because if you look at it from her perspective, is you left to go get help. Now you're coming back, not a king, and we have to bow to this other person, and I have all this other shit I have to worry about. Not on top of the army of the dead, I have the living to fucking worry about to make sure they're fine, and I have all this other shit. So what the fuck, And so I understand her frustration, but it's it's not unjustly placed, and I'm just glad she's doing it in private now, finally.
Well,
So
it's also, she has the opportunity to.
yeah,
I think she would have before, but that was kind of on John, for not giving her the opportunity for the conversation ahead of time.
agreed.
Glenn, I'm sorry I missed your Forged in Fire comment earlier.
God damn it.
I imagine it was awesome.
Yeah.
Just proud of you. Nice work. Any final thoughts on John and Sansa? Glenny, got anything there? Fresh out. So let's talk about Dany, Jorah, Sam, and Bran. Ben, what happened?
So Dany thanks the Slayer for saving her bear and spills the beans about
Spill
Sam's
the
family.
bean.
Bran tells him it's time Jon Snow finally knows something.
Spoils the beans.
Spoils the beans, yeah.
Spoils the
Reads a
beans.
little blurry at times.
Yeah,
and
so
awful.
this is an interesting conversation that happens here. Overall, I really think Dany does a really good job of kind of breaking the news. I think
What a great
she
job.
does a fairly decent job of being sensitive to not knowing how Sam would react after she figures it out of what's going on, because she has no way of knowing.
And she could have just not said anything.
Yeah, I mean, easily. So I think she does a pretty good job.
Pretty. Can I add something to that? This is the
Abby, you
second
can.
time in this episode that I was impressed with Dany, because I feel like a lot of times Dany comes in hot, and then you're like, "Whoa, Dany, turn
Oh,
off the
pump the
blade."
brakes. Let's
Yeah, like,
He
easy,
comes in big
guys.
dick Danny.
Easy
Stop
does.
it.
stop it. Ugh.
You're muted. 5 minutes.
God. Anyways, so she comes in hot, and then we like gradually. She's one of those people you learn to love, and you realize like, that's just them, or that's just, but they're really good anyways. She does it with Sansa, you know, kindly greeting her and whatever, and Sansa gives her the big old fuck no. Like, she just gets a hard no from
It's
Sansa.
a
And then
hard
here
no.
with Sam, um she didn't need to seek him out. It's not like, oh, I have pressing news to do. All she wanted to do was thank him for
Mm-hmm.
saving Jorah. Like,
Mhm.
that is a kind thing to do.
She went way out of her way to find him.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna go find Jorah, and he's gonna help me go find this guy, and I'm going
We're
to
gonna bring
approach
this
him.
up. Congratulations.
I
And
thought
we
it
Good
killed
was,
job.
we killed your dad. And
and
your
this
brother.
is
We'll see it at the ice cream social.
So, quick question:
this
how
is
does she find him before John does? Just saying.
I
Anyway,
I don't think it's advertised that Sam is at Winterfell, really.
He's just in the library. Abby, continue.
Oh, well, so I was gonna say this is usually like Danny second attempt of winning people over, but twice in this episode, this was attempt number 1. She did a great job instead of having to like work her way out of a hole.
I don't
This
think
is
she
nice.
did a bad job in the attempt with Sansa. It was just a
No, no, that's not what
glacier.
I'm
She
saying.
went up against a
No,
glacier.
Oh my god, you are
She
not
was
listening to what I'm
glaciated.
saying.
She made a great attempt.
Sorry,
at
sorry.
that.
Hold on. Abby, I missed what you said then. I apologize.
Okay, so so I'm saying before we have seen Sansa go in hot and then have to like gracefully work her way into good graces. Like
Sansa or Danny?
You mean
Danny, I'm
Okay.
sorry. She works her way back up, and then we grow to love her.
Mhm.
These characters grow to love her. But in this episode, twice now, she has gone in with that good,
Humble.
lovable character instead of having to work it out, and it has not turned out correctly either time. So we flip flopped.
Yeah, no, and I do actually agree with you. Now the first one, neither one was on her really. Well, the second one actually kind of is from her past decisions. But
No, stop it.
hang on, no.
Continue.
I'm saying the reaction she got was because of the decision she made. I'm not saying it was a wrong decision. I'm
Okay,
just saying because
good
of the decision
clarification.
she made, she
It was
gets the
her
reaction.
response. Yeah.
Yeah.
The response that was it was a justified response because he wasn't mad. He wasn't like, "Oh fuck you." He was heartbroken. He first starts actually tearing up when he hears about his father, who he fucking hates his father. He cannot stand that man. But still, it's your father. And you find out, okay, he was burned. Okay, well, at least I can go home and my brother will be there. And he's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, your brother stood with him.
About that.
Yeah, and that breaks him. And I'm giving a huge shout out to John Bradley. I'll put it on par of facial acting and physical acting in this scene can rival Lena Headey. Was it a little over the top? Sure.
Yes.
But it was fitting. Think about it. If you are put in that position without fucking
And your
expecting
dad's
it,
a complete shitbag, I don't
but your
care.
brother's not. Your brother's a good person. Your
But
brother's
he
never.
chose to stand
He's a
there. You
good
get to be
man.
heartbroken, but then you don't get to go at your friend and be like, she executed them.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. If you just found out that
I'm another
information.
argument for another day.
Another
I'm
day,
ready for
another
bed.
day, another day.
Anyway, so,
overall, though, Abby, I guess the one distinction I want to make in the comment that you made about it didn't work for either of them. I think Sam has a lot of respect for Danny after this conversation. I think
just meant,
it's a
like-
lot to deal with right at this moment for sure. But when he has a minute to settle down, I don't know.
Talk.
Well, the next scene maybe tells a little different story.
Yes.
So let's go into that. But
Yeah.
I really think he will, in the long run, have a very positive interaction with Danny from that, or he should, because he needs to get his head out of his ass if he doesn't.
I agree.
So
Sansa
Can
one,
I
that
go
was
with
just
my
Sansa
note
just
or no?
being cold
I was
hearted.
gonna go. Hey, Glenn, you have a note here too.
Thanks, Luke.
And
Yeah,
you're
so
welcome,
yeah, this was definitely supposed to be, the joyous moment. But I think like it could make Sam like kind of against Danny. I mean, you guys are saying that like maybe he respects Danny more, but I think like at this time, like he doesn't feel good about Danny executing his father and brother, like that, and like but at the same time, I think it was good that Danny tells him the whole truth instead of him finding out through the grapevine.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of like my mom used to say, like when we do something bad, whatever, and she'd be like, did you do this? And we're like, no, like get the fuck out of here.
No, of course not.
Like, well, I'm gonna find out the truth
If you did
sooner
do
or
it,
later if you did do it. So
you're
like,
better off telling
you're better
me.
off telling me now. Because if I find out, I'm gonna be like even more pissed off. and
Right.
So it's just kind of one of them situations, I guess. So
Mhm.
it's
I
like,
think that's
you're
fair.
Randall. You're
Not Randall Turley. Oh, you know him.
yeah. Here's the scoop. Yeah.
about that.
They gone.
It didn't go well for them.
Have you ever heard the song "Dust in the Wind" by Kansas?
That's what your father and brother are now.
Will Ferrell sings the song.
You're my boy, Blue.
So the next part of this is Sam running out of the library and running into Bran, who's chilling in the courtyard.
Yeah, of course.
Luke,
That's what he'd
why
be
is he in
doing.
the courtyard?
Because he's waiting for an old friend. He that's what he says. He says,
Yes.
I'm hanging out, waiting for an old friend."
Waiting for
Probably the most
day.
one of the aside from him bitching at Sansa and Danny earlier in the episode where he was like, "We don't have time for this."
Yeah.
Like
I gotta meet my old friend.
this is the most personality we've seen from Bran
Yes,
in a
it
long
is.
time.
I love it.
I really do.
That
My
was
friend
great.
is coming in town.
I'm trying to be ready.
You guys need to get this shit together.
I have a
And
friend who's
what
gonna
a
be
great
here.
way! Like you have
Friends
this
are coming.
character who gets to play this like Bran who has no personality to just we're gonna shove out like 97 minutes of chit chat because we're just gonna have Bran be like rudely knock it
love it.
off.
Because
Yeah,
it fits
and
the
here's the thing,
character.
like,
He doesn't have to have any fucking filter. He just be like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and like the
Enough,
way I read
enough.
it, like when I first, like very first watching this, I was like, "Oh, I'm waiting for an old friend," and that was like just a nice way of saying I was waiting for you, Sam, to come out and talk. No, I didn't register because I hadn't seen him sitting in the background. Like the second time through, I saw him just fucking chilling in the courtyard the whole goddamn time. But I hadn't registered that until the very end. We'll get to there, but and so I'm thinking, okay, that's just a cute line. But again, it still was more personality than anything we've seen in 5 years of Bran or 4 years of Bran, 4 seasons of Bran. So I do agree with that, Luke.
So yeah, he kind of puts the onus onto John or onto Sam to tell John. Glenn, do you have any thoughts on Sam being the one that has to tell John?
So this is the next scene, or
We can.
this
Yeah, I
kind of.
mean,
I guess we can kind of roll into that. So we have John and Sam.
Yeah, Sam finds John in the crypts, tells him about his father and brother, and lets him in on the best kept secret in the Seven Kingdoms.
Lenny.
So basically, Bran as the three-eyed raven apparently does not have any responsibility. In my mind, I think the way this was gonna work the best was more of an intervention type where Sam, both of them are present. Okay. Sam, definitely kind of lead the conversation, tells him the scoop, and then Bran is just kind of there to back him up, and maybe have reference material of okay, yeah, just read this too, because if you don't believe us, I think that would have been just like a much more way to go instead of just, oh, Sam, you do it. Like, he's not gonna believe me. It's like, you're his fucking brother. You're his best friend, though.
And you guys are
I'm not his brother.
on the wall.
And I'm not his brother anymore, which I just don't get, because Bran's just like not claiming family anymore. Like, they still consider you.
You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, they still consider you as your brother or whatever. But he's just kind of like, oh no, like, I'm not part of the family anymore, so it's all up to you.
Okay, then you're out for Christmas, all right? And no more name day presents. And you
It's
can
like,
just go hang
the
out by the
fuck?
Weirwood all day.
It's like, even if your family doesn't consider you family, then you're not family. But if your family considers you family, then you're part of the family.
Even if you don't want to be.
Exactly. I've been saying that for years.
I've been trying to get out for years. No, I love you guys. Most of the time. No, you guys are off. Yeah, no, so I think it's a really good point. Like, why is I realize Bran is this other entity or whatever, but I don't know, it seems like, well, if you're gonna play that card, then you shouldn't have any say in any of this. If you're not part of the family, then you have no say in it. It's just like you were saying, because the family still wants you to be, that they value his thoughts, or other, they just like kick him out and be like, well, get the fuck out then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Benj?
No, I agree. I think it should have been both of them. It was touching because, again, I think John Bradley killed this episode. And him calling John out of you're the bloody. I'm not talking about the bloody North. I'm talking about the bloody seven. You're the king of the bloody seven kingdoms, and it's trying to shock him into fucking listen to me. You're not hearing me, kind of
He
thing.
also didn't
And
say it.
what's that?
He also didn't say it. He just kept saying you were always
Well, he's
king. That means
but
nothing
John
to
started
John.
walking away from him. John's like, whatever.
I'm not talking about the
you know,
king of the north. I'm talking about the king of the bloody seven
Yeah.
kingdoms.
And he makes great points, and I like how John goes from, and again, it's talked about. I hate that I watched that thing because I'm like, God damn it, I have all these notes, and they're saying everything that I said, but John kind of goes from you're wrong, to what, no, what, no, and then kind of slowly starts to accept what Sam's saying because Sam only speaks the truth. Sam lives by Luke's policy. Honesty is the only policy, and I attribute that saying to you just because
And if you don't know, don't guess.
No.
educated guesses are fine.
Except when you
If you don't
rack
know,
up
don't
library
guess.
finds
Inside joke.
and steal swords.
But anyway, it's he and John knows that about Sam, where he's like, Sam doesn't lie, and Sam's going to find out the facts first before coming to me with something like this. And Sam's hitting with every single thing. And when John calls him out about, he's like, my father's the most honorable man. Sam's like, no, I mean, not quite your father, the man who, like he made the distinction, but he's like, he paused because he wanted to be that dickhead and be like, not your dad, but and he kind of held off
You
with it.
see, I take it like everything. It's just the way I perceive him. I didn't see the pause as him being a dickhead. I just saw it as like you're. I'm gonna say real. Like, let me find the right word.
Yeah, and
Like
I shouldn't
the
say dickhead because Sam's not the dickhead guy,
yeah, like
but he wants to make sure that's why he paused. He didn't want to be a dickhead by
he
saying,
wanted to convey it correctly without being insensitive because Sam's like the most decent person in the realm.
He's just
Exactly.
like the most decent person.
Similar
Yeah.
to
Similar to
and
Brienne.
so
But
so he did have the one last line, and I'll be done, and I'll let you guys finish up. But you gave up your crown for your people. Would she do the same? Because John calls him out. That's treason, and he's like, no, it's the truth. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be treasonous. I'm not saying anything about your new chick. She's cool. She seems cool.
she's a babe. I get
She's a
it.
babe. I get it. I absolutely get it. Is she a gilly? Maybe not. But
Get out of
that's
here with that.
I'm
Continue.
yeah.
Sorry.
So, but and he's just like, he calls him out on that. And me personally, I can answer that. No, she wouldn't. She would not give up her namesake, at least as far as I've seen Danny in the last 7 years, would not give up the namesake for the best of her people. She would try to work some way around to keep her namesake, her titles, and everything.
10,000% disagree with you.
Fine, that's fine.
But I kind of want to touch on what you and Abby were talking about earlier about how Sam kind of presents the information and his hesitations and all of that. He's also coming off a big bit of information that was like 45 seconds ago.
Right.
Like,
He just walked out of the room.
His blood is up. His blood pressure is up, and like there's a lot going on.
and he's like
so mad
forced
he's
into
falling
doing this too.
downstairs.
Yeah.
Like it's not like oh let me grieve for a second. Like no, Sam, it's time to
Brand's
tell John. What the
hey.
fuck? Are you kidding me?
Did you
Give me a second or two.
can I go
Jesus
Give me a
Christ.
beat to breathe.
pound a beer real quick?
Yeah.
But so like I do think Sam does a wonderful job of presenting this information to John, other than he kind of falls under the I have the information and I'm telling you the story, but I'm also making a couple leaps that hopefully you'll connect the dots instead of just being like, hey, like I found out this thing, it affects you, like, and your entire life story. So get ready for that. Like, no, he just like alludes to it a couple times where it's like, no, like just you gotta
Say
lean
what you
into it a
mean.
little bit. I mean, yeah, say what you mean. Quit farting around.
Damn.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
He was trying, but again, as you said, his adrenaline and his brain was going 1,000 miles a minute from the information he just received
Yeah.
about other things. So process time. It's like
Which-
get the fucking words out.
Which
But-
I still
and he is.
think he's overreacting at, but I get it.
so my thing with Sam's reaction to it makes me sad for him the way he is so sad about his father, not his brother.
The
Yeah.
brother, totally
Because
reasonable.
yeah, like absolutely. I don't mean to come across as like Sam, get over it.
I do.
But yeah, I know you
Get
do.
the fuck over it.
No,
Cold
but
cut combo.
it makes me sad that it hurts Sam because that is unrequited love.
Yeah.
I can't even say
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
No,
okay.
you were
So
absolutely correct.
and like in this was not just an empty threat. If you don't take the black, there will be a hunting accident and I will kill you. Like if he died north of the wall, his father wouldn't cry. And that's what makes me angry. Like I hate that.
It's not reciprocated at all.
Yeah, like it wouldn't he would not be mourned the same way. And Sam is so worth like that love from his dad. And bleh, I'm glad you got burnt by fire,
So
Randall.
let me ask really quick, just panel, quick question. Would John feel that way about Catelyn? Do you think he would have some sort of remorse if Catelyn Stark, when she did meet her end? I know we more focused on Rob's, on him losing Rob and all that, him being when he found out about that information. But I'm just saying, when he found out about Catelyn, do you think, maybe not to the extent that Sam was showing, but do you think it still might have been like, ooh,
I think it would
okay.
have crushed his.
It's
Go
very
ahead.
different. Sorry, Abby, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I don't
Go
think
for
so.
it.
Good.
No, I think it's very different because of all of the siblings. John is
That's what
very much thinking about how it's going to affect all of his younger siblings, where that was all undercut for Sam, where also your younger sibling was killed. Like that just it changes the whole perspective of it because of the timing of all of the information. It wasn't
But
like, oh, Kat was killed, but also Rob was killed. Like it's a totally different thing. I
But it's the same thing
understand the
'cause
similarities of
'cause
how they were raised.
Rob's younger than John.
But
Or no,
so
maybe not.
No,
Technically, yes.
yeah.
Technically.
But so my thought is
not technically. He's not.
John's empathy of his siblings and how much
Okay, right.
they're gonna hurt is gonna make him feel bad. Like maybe not his own feelings towards Cap, but seeing his siblings so distraught
Mm-hmm.
would hurt him.
Right.
So
Fair. But I mean, Sam's got the younger sister, has a mother still that maybe he had that
I
same
don't think
thought.
his mother really liked his father. So
Fair.
I definitely see
it
the
was just a
similarities in
thought.
growing up. I just feel like it's
and everybody's different too, so
yeah.
everybody handles
like Luke's not gonna
shit
care
like
at all
that
when we
differently.
die,
And then
Benji.
No.
Okay, gonna get the fuck right over it. So it's fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I ain't gonna give a shit when I die. I'm dead.
I'll be over it.
How would I know?
Like,
How would I know?
Frank
You'll be
Reynolds,
dead. How would you know?
he's like, if I die, just throw me off a bridge.
But to get to Ben's other point of, and maybe this is something we touch again on our like speculations whenever we get there, of would Dany give up everything if she found out she didn't have a rightful claim? I think if she's very just focused. I think she believes in justice, and I think she believes in doing what is right. The only reason she's done some of the things that she's done is because she feels obligated because of her name. She's used her name as part of that at times, but I don't think if she would have not known she was a Targaryen or that she was the last in line, I don't know if she would have made all of the same decisions because she feels, I guess you could use the word entitled, but I feel obligated is a better term to use because that is her family lineage that she's responsible for at that point. If there's somebody else along that has a better claim, I feel like she might support them. I don't know. It's going to be a huge thing.
It would be a kick in the ass, though, I think, because like she's been going about this for years now and like grooming, kind of up to just I'm gonna rule the Seven Kingdoms, and then you finally kind of get there, and then
She's had a structured settlement, but she needs cash now.
So called JG Wentworth.
call JG.
877 cash
And then
now.
like the guy that
Luke.
you fall in love with is the rightful heir. Like, who would have thought?
To me, it just feels like it makes it a lot simpler at this point. Like,
No,
especially with Davos was talking about, let's get them married and be done with it. Like, let's just get that taken care of.
Targaryens marry Targaryens, so it's not that big of a fucking thing that they're family.
Right, and like at the end of the day, like
When all said and done.
when all is said and
You're
done,
another day
when
older.
push comes to shove,
Oh,
it's no, like I think, like even if like okay, let's John's the king or whatever, like cool, she would still be the queen. So it's just almost like all right, well, there goes my responsibilities. Like I don't know, I'll just ride dragons and shit like that. Like I can just be rich and be the queen and spend all the money, go shopping.
I don't think that's what Dan wants, though.
I'm going down to the Flea
That's
Bottom
ex-
Emporium, goddammit.
Microfingers, flea bottom emporium.
I'm going straight to Microfingers Flea Bottom Emporium.
I'm so ready
I
for those
kid you
shirts
not.
to be here.
All right.
That's about it for that, right?
Yeah, I liked the camera work again. This whole episode, camera work, I really enjoyed. But the dynamics of first you see John standing in front of Ned's statue, and then as Sam's kind of telling it, you get the over the shoulder shot of John at Sam and Lyanna's behind him. So it's that nice, very nice camera work, very direct and distinct moves that they made with it.
So I got a real quick thing, real quick. So in reference to, because at one point John kind of confronts Sam like, so my father, Ned Stark, was the most honorable man ever, and
you
basically
telling me
like
he lied to me my whole life?
this goes back to season 1 of Trailer Park Boys.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And I can't remember the exact situation, but I remember Bubbles saying something referencing like either Plato or Socrates, one of the two.
Not Aristotle.
Or it could have
When
been
you said
one of the
Plato,
philosophers.
I thought you meant
But he
Plato.
says, basically, I think what happened was Ricky and like there was like a big ticking time bomb where they didn't want kind of Ricky to know something or something like that. So they're like Bubbles was, well, there's a thing called the noble lie, and
It's no lie, Ricky.
basically like you tell a lie for the greater good, because it'd be a lot better if you tell the lie instead of the repercussions of saying. Do you have it on there?
That's not coming through at all.
You have to lie to Lucy, or else she's never gonna leave you alone.
It wasn't coming through. I apologize, but
So anyways,
Glenn heard it. That's all that matters.
yeah. Anyways, that was my thought. Like, it's a noble lie, and that's why Ned Stark the whole years, just kind of, it's a lie that I'm gonna tell to benefit the greater good.
It's a preventing the truth from coming out kind
Right.
of thing.
And like I think Sam even said, like, if Robert, Big Bobby B, if he would have like caught wind of you being alive, or you,
We would not be having this conversation.
he would see to it that you perish, if you will.
You would have perished of dysentery at best.
I
We're
would
gonna
say,
give you dysentery.
and that's totally
Give this kid
reasonable.
dysentery.
And I'm glad that Sam was able to tell John that, because John doesn't need to lose the image of what Ned was, because Ned was Ned. I mean, he never faltered on his Nedisms really until he had to save Sansa, basically, is what it turned into. But he always made the choices that he did for the noble lie, like you said, and being a righteous
Noble lie.
the noble lie, Plato said.
did it for the greater good.
He did do it for the greater
Was
good.
it Plato?
And yeah, and that greater good in this case was keeping John alive. And overall, here's to Ned.
Here's the Ned and the noble lie.
And the noble lie by Plato.
And Bubbles too.
And
Yeah,
Bubbles
check it
too.
out.
And Bubbles.
And Trailer Park Boys in general. All right, so let's
All
move
sorts of
along
fuckery.
to the next scene, which I believe is not our final scene. We have a scene at Last Hearth, and we have Tormund, Beric, Ed, Ned, and a bunch of other randos, sacrificial hams, but they haven't been sacrificed yet. Benj, what happened?
Yeah, so Tormund's alive, thankfully. Tormund.
Yeah, that
and
was
Beric
just
are
like
alive.
assumed, right?
Right? Yeah. Well, they said it in the
Plot
trailer.
armor,
So.
maybe.
But the crews find each other. The Night's Watch and Tormund and Beric find each other is while searching the keep and discover the Night King been through and left them a message.
So
Watch out! Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, real quick, I wanted to say something about this castle. It's like on the side of like a bluff or a mountain or something like that. Like it,
Yeah, it is. It is rocky.
Defend the high ground.
yeah, definitely rocky. I will agree with that.
It looks like just like a big house. Like it doesn't look that impressive, right? I mean,
It's
it
like
looks
one-
like
yeah.
a barn.
It's not a
One of those
castle, it's a
houses
keep.
that. Why the hell did you build it
It's
on the
not a
side of the
castle.
mountain?
You know, that's the one thing. It's a keep. It's not a castle.
It's a
just-
hearth. it's
Yeah.
literally just a big room with a
Yeah.
big fire.
They
So
are the lighters of the fire. Or
right
But they-
between
they needed-
Gondor and Rohan,
Like how many wagons and horses do they need though?
all that they can spend. That was the number given.
How many people? Were
Hey, you know how you stay warm in the north? You sleep in the same fucking room on top of each other. You need one
We
room.
just need one room.
Everybody on
And the
top.
horses.
Yeah.
So, Abby, I'm
Let's
going to
pee
go
on
to
each
you
other.
first on this whole series of scenes.
Of events.
What'd you like? What'd you not like?
Well, when I watched this, I really like the scene. I think it's super cool. But I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my God, this poor little kid. And I didn't actually know it was Ned Umber until they're like, yeah, we are at Umber's, whatever. And this is that. I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. That's complicates
Yeah,
matters.
so Sansa sent him to his
Right,
death.
right. Like that was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, man, what the fuck is going on? What fucking animal? Like, how big is that crab that they got to make those legs? I had no idea, none at all, that it was human body parts. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
How do you
what
crack
kind
those
of
legs?
ocean? Like, yeah, like what kind of
That's
Oh,
Sebastian's
shit.
one big motherfucker.
like this is
Under
that
the
is a
sea.
scary beast. So then I'm like,
Thank you,
wow.
Glenn.
And like he screams, and that got me. I was not expecting a scream.
Always hotter under the
so-
water.
Well,
I
shit,
think
Ab,
of-
you did
At
pick.
the last
I was
half.
but
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine.
as like afterwards, that was like the scene I was really kind of like interested in, and I'm looking on Twitter, and they're like, "Man, all those body parts." And I'm like, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
What about those
Those
crab legs again?
crabs.
You crab leg. I had no
They turned
idea.
him into a crab.
Yeah, I had no idea. So,
Yeah.
yep.
No, fair.
I really I thought it was a pretty decent like classic horror film
Mhm.
kind of walk up. I'm glad they went cheesy with it too. Like the
too.
jokes that were dropped, I thought were actually funny. You know,
You know,
throughout the
watch
whole
out,
episode, there were a bunch of actually funny like quips, like one-liners that
Yeah,
didn't
but
seem
the best one
forced.
is, watch out, he's got blue eyes. I've always had blue eyes.
I feel like he should have thrown to the. I've always had blue eyes. You cunt. Like that just would have.
Well, that's more of a hound.
I feel like Tormund could pull it off too. Like
Yeah.
those
You
two.
dick. No, I've always had blue eyes, you dick. Because he
Dick?
just
Oh
learned
yeah,
what
that's his
dick
new
is.
word, dick. I
Yeah, he
like
knows-
it.
he
I
knows
bet
dick.
you
I
do.
like it.
Yeah.
Exactly. That would have been a nice little touch.
Glennie, what'd you think of this whole scene here?
So yeah, basically, end of the line for House Umber. I think that might be a theme moving forward. Like you're gonna see some of these houses just kind of perish and be no more.
Of dysentery or
Um,
worse.
But yeah, I'll say little Ned with the limbs designed in the pattern was extremely creepy.
Yeah.
And then he does like the this he comes to life or whatever. And
And we were watching this last night, and I know like this is about the point where I started getting a little bit distracted. But like I looked away for like a second, and you were like, "Oh shit!" And I was like, "Wait, what?" I look up and I just see the blue eyes, and then it's like right when the scream happened. And I was like,
Shit.
"Oh."
I didn't even see the blue eyes until my second watch through because I was like I'm trying to do like quick notes as I was going, and like I was like taking a quick note, and I kind of look back and I hear "Rah!" and I look up for the scream. I didn't see the blue eyes. Like,
They open immediately when they say the dead.
yeah, yeah, I didn't see
Like,
that
Was
until
that
the
the key
second.
word there, Em?
yeah, well,
Yeah,
because I thought it might be Night King. So when I watched again, but no, immediately when that Night King had already been said, and then it said the dead, and right at the beginning of he opens his eyes up.
Hmm.
yeah, and I mean, I should have known. I mean, we know what the fucking Night's King does. We know what the undead do. But like for me, I looked down and it fucking just shocked me. But I will give a shout out to Living on a Prayer in the chat. I'm dying here. It was a human ice spider. The budget ran short, so no elephants, but we got our goddamn ice spider.
Did we?
I added in the second half. No, we did. I added in the second, but we got our ice spider
Christ.
because it's the spider legs, the 8-legged fucking weird thing.
I think it's the
It's a funny.
Targaryen symbol.
I definitely
I've
thought
heard.
it was like a
But it's the same. It's the same spiral we've seen.
yeah, that's been
I
there
think
since
that's
early,
the
early.
Children of the Forest crude symbol for the Targaryens.
Oh,
We're
That's
making
what I
fun of
think.
you with
speculations. Titles,
hot take. All right.
No, I actually truly I thought about the way that the Targaryen symbol is kind of rounded like this too.
Yes.
It's reversed. It's flipped. But I certainly thought that too, seeing it in body parts more than I had when it's just like
But what if you saw it in crab legs?
I guess we saw it in body parts the very first time too. I think the crab leg aspect is what made me think of Targaryens, because what do dragons like most? Crab legs.
I mean, man, could you imagine
Nimble
their
dick
Joe's
as fuck.
crab shack up there? They'd be rolling in the dough.
well. Let's hope that Luke doesn't go there because Luke does not know how to open up crab legs.
No, it's embarrassing.
Seriously.
It is embarrassing.
It was awful. I was very drunk, and it only got worse. It was a thing. That should have been live streamed. That was awful. That was a terrible day.
That was pathetic.
That was pathetic is a great word.
That was the
So-
worst.
The worst, not even a reasonable attempt. It was awful.
What the fuck do I do?
What do I do? You ordered
Shame.
it.
And here's a cracker too. They gave me like a little tool to crack.
This isn't
it.
working.
I don't know how to work
And
this.
Glenn was just like, done. Like over and over. Anyway, good scene overall. I'm glad that Ed and Tormund are still chilling, and that was a successful, I guess, search of the last hearth. Now they can just head back, right? My biggest question is, how did they miss the full army of the dead? I'm assuming they went south, or are they just like hanging back up north to let this
Well, they like reference like, okay, so we neither of us ran into the army of the dead. Like they're in between here and Winterfell.
Yeah, they
how'd
do.
they miss him? Like that's my point. Like
I don't know.
They don't, because here's the thing. Because even John says we've sent for the Night's Watch because there's no point in defending the wall. We need
right,
them
right.
here. And so I guess whoever found that, got up to the Night's Watch to let them know, up to Castle Black, went around Last Hearth because fucking undead are at Last Hearth, so they passed there. Night's Watch has finally gotten everybody together. They start heading down, and the undead have already moved on. Tormund and Beric have been walking for 120 miles at least at this point, because the wall's 300 miles long. Figure Castle
They
Black's
were
in-
coming from Eastwatch. They weren't at Winterfell. Yeah. Okay.
I know. Yeah,
I-
I'm saying they walk.
I'm saying I was for some reason thinking that they were at Winterfell and on the way back up. So they're both coming from northwest and northeast, where the Army of the Dead is already passed.
Yes. So okay, there we go.
Yep.
We figured it.
So are we ready to move into our final scene?
Final scene.
Final scene. Each episode, we tend to have one of these. Sometimes there's not, but almost every single one there has been. This is a last final scene at Winterfell, and it is with Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, and Bran, the only character that matters.
Raisin Bran.
We follow a cloaked figure through the gates, and
Two
it's the
scoops,
Kingslayer,
not even enough.
spotted by the three-eyed Ravemen.
The three-eyed Ravemen. So Benj, go ahead and start us off there.
So I'm going back to your line that you had called out. Bran told Sam, "I'm waiting for a friend." Holy fuck, I'm waiting for an old friend. And like it hit me. I was watching. I was like, "What the fuck?" Okay.
Were they friends?
And
Though?
not gonna lie, I read that on somebody else's thing, and I was like, "Oh fuck." Oh, holy fuck! I didn't catch it the first time through. And it's like that's really cool. I like that.
We were
Uh,
never friends. I pushed you out of a window.
but well, and this thing actually, Bran did idolize Jamie as a kid. He's like he's the king. He's the Kingslayer, but he's the best knight one of the best knights in the Seven Kingdom, and he wanted to be a knight like Jamie Lannister, kind of thing. And so it's that full circle kind of mentality, and I just liked, yeah, that payoff to the joke earlier because obviously I didn't see it coming. I didn't catch it even when I first saw that, and I see Jamie's look to him like, oh fuck, you're here. Well, this is awkward.
Yeah, again, this is another one I was a little surprised that happened in episode 1. I kind of thought he might stop somewhere else on the way up to Winterfell, but I'm okay with it. Glenn, what about you?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely we see that kind of Jamie gets off the horse. Oh, I'm at Winterfell. He looks over, he recognizes Bran. He's like, "Oh shit!" But I think Bran's just kind of obviously he knows he's gonna show up or whatever. He knew, but I think like it's gonna turn into one of those. Thank you, Jamie. Because of you, I became the three-eyed raven.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being like, hey, you fucked my whole life up. It's like, thank you. It's like almost like when a kid gets kind of bullied throughout grade school, high school, whatever, and then like gets that kind of motivation to become like a MMA fighter or like some kind of badass career path that they decide to take just because they got bullied in high school. It's like almost like, hey, thank you, because if you wouldn't have bullied me, I wouldn't have the motivation to be where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's
Not that
pretty fair.
he's gonna say exactly those words. But.
No, I don't think he's gonna say those exact words, but because he's not an MMA fighter or anything. But
You don't know
Abby,
that?
I don't know that. I apologize for jumping the gun. Abby, what do you think of this little, making eyes across the courtyard?
So honestly, we don't make eyes just yet. Where my first thought comes from, I was so excited. Like I was like, Jamie's there, good. Like I'm glad that he made it. This is so exciting. I was really like super pumped, and I was like, he's gonna go run and see Brienne. Not like on purpose, he's searching her out, but like that's the first person they're gonna meet, and it's gonna be fun, and she's gonna be like, "Yay, you chose the right path." And he looks up and he sees Brienne, and I hadn't even considered that. Like, I just hadn't thought about it, and I was just like, "Oh shit,
And
ooh, oh." Like and that was it. Like I was just like, this is tricky. This is baby Winterfell wasn't the best place for him to come.
Yeah, but like right along with what Glenn was saying,
Yes.
like Bran doesn't give a fuck. He's not Bran. I mean, he is
Right.
literally not Bran,
I
and
know.
he may pull the thankful card, but he also might just be the okay. Well, that's fine. Like it just
Yeah.
again, there are bigger things. Like it just doesn't matter. Like
We don't have time for this.
I don't.
We
They ain't got no time for this.
Yeah.
but one thing really quick, sorry, Ed, you just made me think of it. We got no Brienne and Pod this
Brienne
She
was
was
in
We
the
in-
saw
episode.
Brienne's face. I
She
think.
was in the episode at the first parade in and in she was
Yeah.
sitting right next to Lyanna Mormont
Yes.
in the first
Oh,
council room.
okay, all right.
Pod
then I-
was credited, and we actually said, because as the credits were going, I was like, huh, Daniel Portman. I didn't see him, but he was
Fair.
credited, so he was in there
There somewhere.
somewhere.
Okay,
I didn't see him.
I missed her and him. So
But
that's
Brienne was, because I said the same thing. I was like, I don't remember seeing them, but Brienne
Gotcha.
was certainly on the rewatch. Brienne was certainly in a couple scenes.
fair. It just
No
made me-
words spoken, so she gets a smaller paycheck for this. But yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts on this little interaction? I think the other people around this are going to make a bigger deal of it than
Yes.
Bran will, and I think Jamie will make a bigger deal of it,
This is-
just as like guilt.
Definitely a big cliffhanger though for the next episode, because it's just kind of like, oh shit, and then like there's like a whole week of people who's like, oh, what the hell is gonna happen between that? What's gonna outcome of that, and then we will find out
Next time
soon enough.
I'll
on
have
Game of Thrones.
Man, you guys have worked on that. The timing was like 65% accurate on that.
And it was.
I couldn't even hear him. He kept cutting in and out. So
I
I
know,
tried to
it-
stop and then kept going. It was weird.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, speaking of accuracy, let's talk about the episode title accuracy. This one was called Winterfell.
That's fair. That's because that just apparently came out this afternoon.
It was
because
out, yeah, when I looked today.
Winterfell was.
It
in
did not.
the
It was not
episode.
there at the start of the episode.
As of this
Yeah.
morning, it was not there.
Winterfell
So,
was part of the episode. What I'm saying.
it was a good part. It was a good portion, a good chunk. Sure. I mean, yeah. I think Winter Came would have been better, and not trying to be like smarky, with my ending thing. I think Winter Has Come would have been.
So when I have on demand and HBO right now, there you can like look up different shows like action and whatever. Well, there's a whole section of just HBO and it says HBO in the title heading, tack Winter is here. Which is pretty awesome. Like that's the entire HBO like
Oh yeah, they're
title head of them right now.
This is their money. This is their money grab.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say money grab. I mean, this is a fucking fantastic show, and it should be given all the accolades. But
Yeah, I think it's a pretty fair title. I mean,
It's good.
70% of the episode is there, and
against it, I just
And we
didn't
haven't seen Winterfell as like the primary place for a while.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Description accuracy. Season 8 premiere arriving at Winterfell. Jon and Daenerys struggle to unite a divided North.
Sure.
Definitely a season 8 premiere. Definitely.
season
Can
8 premiere,
agree on that, I
Jon
think.
arrived at Winterfell. Unite a divided North? No, they weren't divided. They were behind Jon.
Well, but now it's divided
divided.
because
It's divided again.
Jon made a decision that they're not necessarily following all of them.
Well, they never said they're not following. They might not like it, but
The Glovers pulled out.
The Glovers pulled out. That's a division.
okay, fine.
The Umbers are
The
certainly not pulling their weight anymore.
The Embers never came.
The Karstarks just have a great sigil. That's all we know. Abby, what do you think about the
sigil?
Abby? What do you think about the description accuracy?
It's good. It's fine with me. I like it. I approve it.
All right, approved. Stamp of Gertie approval.
Yep.
Least favorite thing, Glenny Dog. What was your least favorite thing in this episode?
Yeah, I like the Euron just like begging, for love, and then well, I need to fucking bang you or whatever. Anyways, like, and then he just kind of shits on the former companions of Cersei. Like, I don't know. I didn't really care for that storyline, I guess, and like we said earlier, like just the dangle the carrot out, and then here's a fucking carrot. So
I think that's very, very reasonable. Ben, least favorite thing.
So honorable mention to the waterfall makeout, just meh. But Lyanna, it just felt like too much of Lyanna, strong character. Just I'll call you on your shit, but you know what? Fucking stop and think maybe a little before you start trying to call somebody on their shit just because you can. She bothered me, and I think it's also because I've had people influencing my opinion of her, but yeah, it just bothered me the most.
The worst kind of people influencing you.
This is true.
No, we love Felicia. She's okay. She's just fine.
Halfway decent.
Like the rest of us. Abby, what was your least favorite thing?
Well, mine is ditto.
Okay.
So-
Well, tell everyone what our both of our least favorite things are then.
Just the ease of Yara's rescue. It's not so much that I thought it was like poorly acted or anything like that. I just feel like they had to get it in because they wanted the rescue to happen. So here, let's give them 2 minutes. Biff, bam, boop, done. Like check in the box.
Yeah, I agree. I wish there was more to it. I understand you have 6 episodes. We need to just get these pieces moved, which I think a lot of this episode was. It was overall, this episode did what it needed to do and nothing more. It was nothing more, nothing less. If you wrote out like 10, 15 things that were likely going to happen in the first 2 episodes, 12 of them happened in the first episode just to check those boxes. I don't think that makes it a bad episode at all. I think the thing that stands out to me most is it was a little too easy for Yara to be rescued. Not doubting Theon's prowess or anything, or confidence or ability, but it should have been more to it.
Can I say one thing really quick, Luke? To your point on that, because I meant to bring this up during that scene when we were talking about it. It was very reminiscent of how easy it was for Yara to try to rescue Theon from Ramsay, but Theon bucked at her and fucked it all up. So it's very reminiscent. Only a couple kills, get in, get out, get quick, kind of thing. I agree with you that it should have been longer, it should have been more, but it was kind of this whole episode was, hey, this is you're getting the reverberations of previous things that we've seen.
Yeah, now I have to decide what my favorite thing was this episode. You know what? No, we'll just go in the same order. Glennie, what was your favorite thing this episode?
So I like the Queen's procession and kind of the parallels it brings to the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm. Abby, what was your favorite thing this episode?
Drogon's
His
Huff.
huff.
The puff.
Yeah.
His harumph. Go
Yeah,
harumph somewhere else.
like just distaste and
His,
dislike of
Hufflepuff,
John.
if you will.
His huffle harumph.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I didn't realize this. Like, it was like, hey, this is my new friend.
I
Oh
don't know.
no.
I took it
Oh.
as maybe disapproval potentially.
Really? See, I took it
Not
as like,
threatening. I took it as literally a little kid with their mom, and no, don't. That's my mommy. Like that's like get off her because like she's mine. And I don't know. I actually took the humph as like a. Do you even lift, bro? You're pretty tiny. I could take you. Like, he's pissed, but his face looks so good. Like
I mean, he used to be taller.
he used to be taller.
Ben, what was your favorite thing this episode?
so my favorite thing was honestly John Bradley. I know a lot of people shit on him for the overacting or whatever, but
Do
in
they?
that there's been some online stuff I've seen. Like,
everyone online is the worst.
I
Ugh.
know,
It's
I
all-
know.
it's all
I should say,
Ugh.
I
so
should say
don't worry about it.
everyone. I'm not saying everyone.
Every single
There have been people
fucking
shitting
person.
on the overacting, and you guys even called out like his overreaction to his father being killed. but
I
I think it's a
didn't mean the
direction choice.
actor.
I think it's a direction choice that I disagree with more than
I-
his acting
see,
choices.
but okay, and that's fine, and that's fine. But his
Abby,
acting,
was I speaking for you there as well? Yeah.
Continue on. You're doing a great job.
no, I'm just saying because, as I said, he could rival Lena Headey in this scene or in these few scenes from him and Danny all the way up to him and John, of facial reaction of, when he's talking with Danny, the heartache and the heartbreak immediate, just overcoming him being too emotional. Then talking to Bran, like, really, I mean, just like that exasperation, like, I'm pissed off, I don't want to do this. And the thing is that those three scenes, quote unquote scenes, were probably shot over the course of fucking 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and so calling back that emotion, and that emotion carried all the way through, and that showed his acting ability. And so it kind of bothers me that I had my sit down with Slides for so long, and he never came up in my thought process, but he's making a contention for one of the better actors. At least first episode, best actor. John Bradley, he
He
killed
came
it.
up
And
for a sexiest character.
did come up for a sexiest, and it's hard to disagree with. But it's one like it just his acting on that just made me feel his emotion. As much as we know as a viewer how much of a dickbag his dad is, it's still his dad, and it's his brother, and it made you feel that. So that's all.
Oh man, there were a lot of pretty good things in this episode. I know Phil H really didn't like this episode very much, but that's why he's my nemesis. So it's okay. He's kind of the worst, but
He was one of the better episode interviewers.
he was fine. He was okay.
Especially better than Luke as an interviewee. So that's all right.
So my favorite thing, I'm actually gonna go with Bran. And when he calls Sansa and Dany out, he's like, "We don't have time for this." For some reason, I just really loved that, where he's like, "No, like, stop with the nonsense, stop with the bullshit. It's like, I get it. We don't have time for this. Like, the wall just fell. You lost a dragon. He has it, re-rose it, which they don't even know about, really, right? They don't even know that the dragon was whited
Yeah.
at this point. And
Well, they knew
so
the wall fell.
they don't know that the dragon is a tool for the Night King, though.
Fair. Well, John and Dany don't.
They just know that the wall fell. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they may not know the details of how that happened. But still, I just like that, he's got his eye on the prize, and that's good shit. So we do have a season 8 thing to add to our house superlatives. Hopefully everyone is gonna think of it now.
Son of a bitch. Start with your own then.
I will start with my own.
Jesus,
My house name, I am Lucan of House Blackmead. House words are ours is the drink. My house sigil is an obsidian black chalice on a gold and blue checky background. For season 8, our new edition, thank you, Gertie, go home, Gertie, for this edition here, is what is your occupation? And mine is clearly a mead maker. We make black mead. That's what we do. And we're traveling mead makers because, that's what we do. And you can find me on Twitter at Luca Ferocious or at No One Drink. Final thought, yes, this was maybe not the best premiere of all time, but like I mentioned earlier, it did all the things it needed to do and nothing more. There were certainly no real surprises. It jumped into a lot of things that had to be touched on, and they did it. There's a lot of diddling on storylines, and overall, I'm not unhappy with it, but I can see where people would be calling this fluff. I don't think it's fluff, but it's a lot of putting pieces into place. My other real quick final thought is the playing up Sansa's the smartest person ever seems like a direct call out back to Sansa's so dumb fans, and it's a little thick. I'll just say that it's a little much.
I also think it's interesting that Tyrion says all those people who doubted you are now dead.
Many of them are dead.
Mm-hmm.
So Abby, house name?
Are we just doing? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just a quick 3.
Yep, sure. Gertie of House Condescension.
House words.
We don't quit.
House sigil.
A field of white with a raven sitting upon a black, up-pointed chevron.
And what is your occupation in the realm?
I am a maker of drains.
Maker of drains.
Those pretty drains.
Oh, those pretty drains at King's Landing.
That's what. And probably like the window.
Can you be the mother of drains?
I could be the mother of drains.
The mother of drainers.
The mother of drainers.
That's fine. That's kind of what I do at my house. So sure, I'd be good at that job.
And what is your personal Twitter?
At Go Home Gertie.
And your final thought on this?
I loved it. Like when I watched it, I was so happy. Ah, yeah, this is good. And then I stayed up all night long and I watched it a whole bunch more times. And so, nitpicking and whatever. South, you really need to get some tornado sirens because it just makes me stay up all night when there's tornadoes in the area. So, but I got to watch it a lot. I'm a huge fan. I like it.
Glennie, house name?
Villain of House Dog.
House words?
You missed 99% of the shots you don't take.
House sigil?
It is a dog with a hockey jersey on.
What's your occupation in the realm?
So we are millers.
Bunch of millers? Do you have a mill?
Yeah.
Your personal Twitter?
At Popsicle Stan.
Final thought?
This was just kind of your run-of-the-mill season 8
There's
premiere
the
episode. First episode of the last season of A Game of Thrones.
So is it a crooked thumbs up or a crooked thumbs down?
For the show? I said run-of-the-mill. I liked it was, I did enjoy that was 2.5 year wait. But no,
Was it
I liked it.
595 days?
Something like
Yeah,
that, yeah.
something
No,
like that,
I enjoyed it. It kind of snuck up on me. It was just kind of like last I saw, I was like, oh, we got 45 days left, and then like I look up and it's like, oh, it's Sunday. It's like shit the fucking bed. Yeah.
Shit the fucking bed.
Wow. Okay. Sure. I'm down.
All right. Ben, house name,
Sly of House McLean.
house words,
It's dangerous to drink alone.
house sigil,
3 black triangles on a red balloon floating on a field of black.
your occupation in the realm,
I would end up probably being a headsman, but in my off time, because a headsman's only like a couple days a year, I'd be animal control.
well, yeah, I mean, how executioner? That's a limited time
Yeah,
job,
you know,
right?
like Ellen Payne takes care of the cells and all that. I just, I'll do animal control.
I don't have any gigs coming up.
That's
you know.
that's just a man and a horse being hung.
That's just a
Exactly.
man and a horse being hanged. Don't worry, my dear Taggett. Final thought on this season 8 premiere.
Well, first of all, my Twitter is at Sly McLean. But my
I was
final
getting
thought
there.
is,
Sorry.
no, you're good. My final thought is there's a lot of two people talking opposite sides of a room in this one, and that's David Nutter's specialty. I liked that they're calling back because he hasn't been director for this show in 2 years, 2 seasons, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They said, and I liked because that was always the interesting stuff. It's not the action that happens that is the meat of the show. It's what's said in between, And I like that they kind of brought it back, and he's directing 3 of these episodes. Dave Nutter's directing 3 of the 6 episodes. And it's
1,
like,
2,
that's
and
fucking
4.
1, 2, and 4, yeah. And so it's like that's fucking cool. I'm glad they brought him back. The stylistic aspects of the show I talked about early were phenomenal. I actually really loved this episode as first watch. I wasn't like deep delving watching like, oh my god, they're doing this wrong, doing this. I literally sat there for most of the episode with my hand over my face, like, just because I was intrigued. I was entranced. And yeah, fine, maybe it was because the 1.5 year wait that we had, but it was good. I really did like this episode for what it was. Was it the best? No. But was it good? Yeah. They hit every note that they needed to hit.
David Nutter's last episode was Mother's Mercy, the finale to season 5.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
been a while.
Yeah.
But he's done a bunch of them. He's actually done, I think, 6.
Yeah, I think he's the most directed.
9 episodes.
I was gonna say, I think he's the most. Him and Cogman, between those two, have the most. I think
Well,
Cogman
he's a
maybe has
writer. I don't know.
7.
He doesn't direct much. Brian
Okay.
Cogman does writing. He's a writer.
Oh, he's a writer. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if he directs.
And who am I? Okay, all right then. Sorry.
Miguel
Sure,
Sapochnik has the bigger battle episodes. I know, but either way,
that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
let's go ahead and wrap this duck up and get out of town. So become a patron to get access to all sorts of fun stuff, like access to our Slack chat, and early access to other things that I fail on actually getting out there early. But you can learn more about that at patreon.com/stayimaginary. The more patrons we get, the more opportunities we have to do fun side things like AMAs and exclusive access type things. For all of the ways you can help keep our beer bank full here at Drinks and Nose, check out thepodcastthat.com/support us. Check us out on Twitter at Know and Drink. Send us a digital raven to knowanddraink@gmail.com. Subscribe, like, rate, and leave comments on iTunes and YouTube. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And before we roll out of here, let's give a real quick shout out to the top 3 teams in our Throne Fantasy League after this week. And they are team number 1, Squid Squad.
Yeah, that's Mother Cracker.
How many points?
3.7K. We've also got number 2, Naga's Ribs by Mother of Krakens. 3.7K. Number... You tear down my shitty wall for the last time. 3.3K. Glenn sitting in 3rd place. I know I'm pretty
in 24th.
Low. I'm somewhere in the 30s. 32. I'm sitting at 32.
I think Abby's got us beat. I think Abby's ahead of us.
Yes,
Abby's
I
at
am.
14 right now.
Yeah.
So we will
Damn
do
you, Danny! You tore down my shitty wall.
You
tore
said
down
that
my
my shitty
shitty
wall.
wall.
Goddamn Mongolians.
Okay, Mongolians.
So-
Sasek, is that you as Krakens? Is that Sarah? Really quick, hang on. Just saw her in the chat. She threw up the Kraken symbol, and so it made me think.
well,
Yeah, that is Sasuke. Is Sarika's sitting at number 1
Yeah.
right now?
There you go.
Yep.
Yep.
Serica.
Good job.
So we will check in again on that, and maybe we'll go into more depth if we do a weekend stream for predictions and speculations. We'll see. But until next time,
As always, I still don't know, so I'll just drink.
As always, do not ever turn your back on the wolf pack.
As always, winter has come, and yeah, I did too.
and as always, stay imaginary.
How do you know this?
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
Thank you all for being here. We are
Yeah.
gonna get out of here because it's a school night and I'm tired.
Exactly. Yeah,
Cheers,
so,
everyone, for being in the chat.
cheers.
And we will see you again very, very soon.
Yes, we'll be in the chats everywhere. So
You
love
sexy, sexy bitches. And you not sexy. I'm not going to judge. That's fine. All right. See ya.